Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another weekend of football action, and we have 3 Premier League games coming up for you this afternoon. We have Wolves, who travelled to the Emirates to face Arsenal after their 6-0 thrashing of Lens in the Champions League last week. We have Brentford v Luton with Molly Sumter. Luton trying to make it back-to-back wins after the victory over Crystal Palace last Saturday. And then we have Burnley v Sheffield United, the relegation 6-pointer, both teams in the relegation zone. 3 points have never meant more. And that game is also coming up at 3 o'clock with Patrick Narrett. And then 5:30 as well, we have Nottingham Forest v Everton. That is our headline game this evening. Our 5:30, our Saturday night football at 6:30. Sorry, Nigerian time. We're going to change the time zones, haven't we? I completely forget. Apologies on that. So Arsenal Wolves, Brentford Luton, Burnley Sheffield United, they are 4 o'clock. And Nottingham Forest v Everton is 6:30. We also have RB Leipzig v Heidenheim. That game is coming up. Well, that game has already started. That game started at 3:30. So we're about half an hour into that one. We have Lazio v Cagliari, and that is coming up with Luke Charlton at 6 o'clock. And we have Real Madrid v Granada at 6:30 with a brand new reporter on that one. Actually, we have Mark Thomas all the way from Canada covering that one for us. So I'm sure he's looking forward to his debut on the Football Live show. But shall we get underway? Then those are all the games that you can look forward to over the next 4 hours, or just over 4 hours, 4 hours and about 30 minutes, 4 hours and a half. So let's get right into it, shall we? We're going to start at the Emirates v Arsenal v Wolves. Jack Hesson is at the Emirates for us covering this one, where Arsenal are aiming for a 5th consecutive victory over Wolves. They're also aiming for 3 league win matches in a row for the first time this season. Put in the fact that we Lens in midweek, Jack, and things are looking very, very good for Arsenal as we go into December.
Yes, they are, and a very good afternoon to you, Josh, and it should be an interesting encounter at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal, the league leaders, taking on 12th place Wolverhampton Wanderers. The last time these two met was here at this stadium. Arsenal winning 5-0 in the last game of the season. As you mentioned, a thumping 6-0 win over Lens in the mid-week secured qualification for the UEFA Champions League. It did follow a much narrower 1-0 win away to Brentford the weekend before. Kai Havertz scoring a late winner. He does not make the starting 11 today, with just the one change from that win. David Raya replacing Ramsdale in goal. The full lineup for Arsenal then: David Raya starts in goals, a back line of Tomiyasu, William Saliba, Gabriel and Alexander Zinchenko. A midfield three of Martin Odegaard, Declan Rice and Leandro Trossard, and an attacking front three of Gabriel Martinelli on the left, Bukayo Saka on the right, Gabriel Jesus leading the line. Wolves come off the back of a dramatic 3-2 defeat away to Fulham on Monday night, which involved 3 penalties in the second half, leaving Gary O'Neill, the manager, feeling extremely hard done by. They have enjoyed an average but safe start to the season, which some pundits did not expect, and they've racked up some big wins over Man City and Tottenham, albeit both coming at home. They make 3 changes, the main one being Alt Nouri, who was injured during the week. He's replaced by Craig Dawson at centre half, with Hugo Bueno coming in at left back to replace Alt Nouri. The full lineup for Wolves then: Jose Sa starts and goals, a back line of Totti Gomez, Max Kilman and Craig Dawson. Midfield three, Hugo Bueno at left wing back, midfield three of Tommy Doyle, Bellegarde and Traore, and Nelson Semedo at right wing back. Matheus Cunha and Hwang Hee-chan, who both scored in that game on Monday night, both lead the line. A win for Arsenal takes them 4 points clear of City, who are playing later, and a win for Wolves could bring them as high as 10th for the table. It's sure to be a great game of football.
Yes, thank you, Jack. I mean, as for Arsenal this season, we're going to talk about Arsenal with 4 minutes to go. We'll just a quick word on them. They're really turning things around, aren't they? You know, they're unbeaten Emirates in any competition in 23-24. After maybe a little bit of a tricky start the first few games, Stephen Arteta was playing this new formation with Thomas Partey and things like that, and they also had Timber injured as well. Things seem to just be picking up slowly for us. So maybe different to last season, where they came out the traps in an explosive fashion. This year they seem to be building.
Yeah, it seems a lot more mature than last year. Last season, as you mentioned, it was really an explosive start, an unexpected start. This season, a lot of people perhaps written them off before a ball was kicked, said that they wouldn't be able to contain that momentum. But I think what we've actually found is a bit of a different Arsenal. Mainly when you look at the defence, they've only conceded 10 league goals this season, which is really put them in the position they're in, and have knocked up some big wins. That win against Man City, of course, the win at home to Manchester United. So they've already played the big boys this season. They've got wins. They're top of the league at the moment. You can't deny that they definitely deserve to be there right now.
You can't argue at all with that, Jack Hesson, and that's why they're top of the Premier League table, and they'll be hoping they can stay there for a while longer. Yeah, game coming up at 4 o'clock between Arsenal and Wolves. We're going to stay in London now, and we are going to travel just a little bit over, a little bit to the, so we say to the west, northwest London, where we're going to be covering Brentford v Luton. Molly Sumpter is there for us. Molly, these are both teams really that I'd say need a win for Brentford. They've now lost 2 in a row after their defeat to Arsenal last weekend. And for Luton, well, they won against Crystal Palace last week, making their second win of the season, but they love a third. They need to build a little bit of momentum, don't they? Especially considering Everton's points deduction, which is under review. For Brentford, on their 300th top flight fixture, this presents a fantastic opportunity for them to get their 5th win of the season.
Definitely, Josh. Brentford have had a really rough run of fixtures recently, managing to get a win against both West Ham and Chelsea, chucking them definitely as a team to be feared. And I think Luton will definitely be considering that going into today's game. They will be coming and looking to build off of that win against Crystal Palace. So they will definitely have a bit of a spring in their step after that game. Brentford, however, will be looking to bounce back from that slim 1-0 defeat, you said, to league leaders Arsenal. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one today. As far as the teams go today, Brentford changed their formation from the 5-3-2 that they did at Arsenal to a 4-3-3, bringing Neil Maupay into attack in place of Godos. Nigerian Frank Onyeka remains in midfield for the Bees. There's 2 changes from the Luton side who beat Crystal Palace. Alfie Doughty drops out with a hip injury, so Issa Kaboe takes his place in midfield, and Andros Townsend falls to the bench, leaving a start for Tahith Chong behind Colton Morris. Definitely going to be an interesting one today. There's about a minute to go until kickoff. It's Brentford against Luton.
Back to you in a minute, Molly, just to discuss this game. As we say, 1 minute till the game's kick-off, so we need to get to Burnley, Sheffield United, Turf Moor, which Patrick Narrett is at covering this one in the relegation zone. Both teams currently, well, Burnley, they're rock bottom, aren't they, Patrick? Currently 20th, only 1 win this season, 4 points. Sheffield United, they only have 1 point more on 5, and they also have the equal same amount of wins, only 1 win for them this season. So for both teams, this represents really a huge clash with a lot on the line. And the Burnley, their current 6 match top flight losing streak is their worst since 1895. And for Sheffield United, they've taken 4 points in their last 3 after losing 9 of their opening 10 league games. So it's a little bit rosier for them, but either way, both teams down the bottom really are going after scraps already in December in terms of points. And for this one, Patrick, they're going to need it desperately. It's desperation time already.
I think, like your build-up, you said it's a 6-pointer, and there's only Everton 4 points, got Burnley 4 points, and you've got Sheffield Wednesday 5. So a win-win for both teams, and I think it'd be interesting how they're going to play. And I think with regard to teams today, just one change for Burnley. We've got Brian Larson comes in, and I think when I hand it back to you, I think there's about a goal coming in. You're going to say.
Yes, I mean, I think we're just waiting on that. Yes, I can announce it. There is a goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And as soon as we leave Patrick Narrett, it is Burnley that have taken the lead at Turf Moor. A fast and ferocious start in Lancashire. And what a great start it is for them. The perfect one for Vincent Kompany's men. They've won 4 of their past 5 league home games against Sheffield United. And it's an early start, and they're well on way to making it their 5th victory in their past their 6th victory in their past 5 Premier League games. What a start for them. Burnley 1, Sheffield United 0. And what a start that is for Burnley. The perfect start for them. And the Clarets, as we say, both these teams, this win means so much for them. And it was an early goal, but you never know with these early goals. They normally count for nothing, or it really might just you set the rhythm for the game. Burnley 1, Sheffield United 0 there. What a start for Burnley. Let's go back to Molly Sumpter quickly to discuss Brentford and Luton, Molly. For Brentford, it feels really harsh to say this. Actually, no, Molly, we are going to go to Patronara. Before I come to you, Patronara, tell us about the goal at Turf Moor.
It was so quick from the kickoff. Burnley had the kickoff. The ball down the left-hand side. The left back pushed up. A wonderful cross in the middle. And Rodriguez, I always say this, rose like a salmon and made it 1-0 to Burnley. So we just 3 minutes gone. It's Burnley 1, Sheffield United 0.
Archie, what do you think that's going to mean for the game going forward? Do you think an early goal can either go so ways? It can set the tone for the rest of the game, or a team can get too excited early on. The other ones can find their feet and get themselves gradually back into this game. What do you think? Is it too early to tell?
Well, it is too early to tell, but it's weird because Vincent Kompany normally plays what I call nice little football, but this was just a long ball forward. They just changed the tactic, long ball forward, overlap from the left back. Yes, it would change a little bit the way Sheffield United are going to play. But it all depends with Burnley. Do they now try to get another one or keep it tight? That would be interesting. Still with 4 gone now, it's Burnley 1, Sheffield United 0.
Knowing the way Vincent Kompany plays, you've got to assume they're not going to rest on their laurels and they're going to go out and try and find that second goal, because what a start that would be to go 2-0 up with inside 5 or even 10 minutes. Now we're going to finally go to Molly, something to talk through Brentford and Luton. Molly, Brentford, they were, a few years ago, shall we say, for the revelation of Brighton and Newcastle and Aston Villa, they were very much the modern team that are breaking the fray, weren't they, and breaking the norm, pushing into the top 6, beating these big teams. But now you feel like they've been overtaken, and Brentford, especially this season, just feel like they've stagnated a little bit. Would you agree?
I think most definitely, and I completely agree with what you said there, Josh, about them being that breakthrough team to begin with in the Premier League. And I do feel as though they have fallen behind slightly, fallen short to some of the big guns, as you said, of Newcastle, Aston Villa, Brighton taking over a bit more. I do think they are falling behind in the Premier League. And yes, they've had a couple of difficult fixtures in recent weeks, but I don't think you can discount them at all. I think they've started this game extremely well, very high on the attack, as you would expect, being the home team. They've come out pressing Luton extremely high, but they just don't seem to have been able to get their rhythm quite going this season yet. But I don't think, again, we can rule them out. I think they're a team that, as if you're going to go to Brentford, you're still going to be worried, and they're still somebody that can produce goals. They've got some brilliant attackers, and definitely a team that can produce something.
Thank you, Molly. Let's go to Jack Essen now. Arsenal v Wolves, today's game. Jack, how's it gone so far? 5 minutes gone.
Yeah, early start to the game. Wolves had a bit of early possession from kick-off, but Arsenal managed to get the ball back, and they are really in control of the game now. Martin Odegaard, just a couple of minutes ago, tried to find a pass of Gabriel Martinelli, but too much weight on it. So they're trying to test and probe Wolves at the moment to try and find a breakthrough. But at the moment, with 5 minutes played, it's still Arsenal 0, Wolves 0.
How crucial is William Saliba, Jack? Because you spoke when we last spoke just a few short moments ago about the defence and how their defence has really been impressive this season. Obviously, only conceding 10 goals, which is the best record in the Premier League, I believe. Yeah, it is. William Saliba, it all revolves around him, doesn't it? If he was to get injured, could we see things unravel for them? He's an incredible player, isn't he?
Yes, I think so. I think we've seen that last season with Arsenal, obviously, when Saliba got injured, that there was just a noticeable drop-off in form. They didn't have the depth in defence to try and deal with that. They still don't really have the depth, which could be a problem for them later down the line. But when they've got William Saliba and Gabriel fully fit, they look unstoppable in defence. Even going back to last season, that was the most noticeable thing that you've seen about Arsenal, even from the early stages, was just how solid those two are at centre-half. They are crucial. Obviously, Ramsdale made some mistakes last season as well. They've kind of rectified that by trying to bring in David Raya, who seems to have also reduced the amount of mistakes from the goalkeeping position. He has really solidified his place as number one at Arsenal, and I think that's just improved the defence even more for them, but it's all about keeping those two fit.
It really is. We also have to announce a goal between in RB Leipzig and Heidenheim.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Because just a few short moments ago, it is RB Leipzig that have taken the lead against Heidenheim, and it's Openda from the penalty spot, getting his third goal in consecutive matches. And let's go over to Kane Wears, who's covering that game for us, to tell us about the goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And that goal jingle also signals a goal for Arsenal. A fast and ferocious start for them at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Wolves 0. 6.5 minutes gone there. And it is the Gunners that have fired themselves into the lead. And who else but Saka finding the back of the net. And what a start for Arsenal. The perfect one for them, continuing that incredible goal-scoring form we saw against Leicester, putting 6 past the French team. And maybe, who knows, they might even get 6 today. Arsenal 1, Wolves 0. Let's go to Kane Wiz. Tell us about that Leipzig goal at Heidenheim, which you see the German outfit going from.
Afternoon, Josh, and afternoon Football Live. The goals came from just a load of pressure from RB Leipzig and have continued to put pressure on the Heidenheim back line, who've dropped in deep into their own half. But the balls just came into Openda just in the edge of the box. He's just played a little give and go with Poulsen and got in there, but then just been wiped out by the centre half. And a stupid decision, really, a completely stupid decision by the defender there. And then Openda just puts it into the goalkeeper's left-hand side, into the side netting. It's been all RB Leipzig so far in a massive game where they need 3 points. But 36 minutes in, it's RB Leipzig 1, Heidenheim.
There is VAR at Arsenal right now, just to update all the Arsenal fans that are listening closely. So we'll give you updates when they come, and maybe the goal might not stand. VAR at Arsenal. Nope, the goal is given, so Arsenal do have their lead at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Wolverhampton 0. Tell us about the goal, Jack.
Yeah, goal for the Arsenal. It all comes from a poor clearance up the line by Wolves. Totti Gomez giving the ball away. Tomiyasu there to pick it up. He gets about to Rice. Rice to Saka on the right-hand side. He's all by himself. Gabriel Jesus comes in to support. He gets the ball to Jesus as Saka runs towards the box. Gabriel Jesus then gets the ball to Tomiyasu, who feeds it into Saka, and then from close range he manages to dispatch the finish. There was a quick check on VAR, I think checking for a possible foul, but nothing clear and obvious in that 7 minutes played. It's now Arsenal 1, Wolves 0.
Jack, we've got to say, I mean, Arsenal, another fast start. I wanted to actually talk to you about how kind of the challenge that Wolves present today. Obviously, they've lost their last 2 away games at Fulham and Sheffield United, and they both came with late winners and controversial decisions around them. For Wolves, we know they're tactically astute. We've seen that under Gary O'Neill many times, but I guess we've seen it, the fact that they've only kept 1 clean sheet in the past 23 Premier League fixtures have Gary O'Neill's side. That's including Bournemouth, where he was at last season, and we're seeing that defensive frailty again early on.
Yeah, we are, and I think that is the difficulty for them. They try and play a 5 at the back to sort of counteract the defensive frailties that they've got. They have had a decent start to the season. I think people were really expecting the worst for them, with the turmoil of Lopetegui obviously being sacked and Gary O'Neill coming in at the last second for the start of the season. But he steadied the ship there, and I think they will be safe, which really, when you're going into this season, Wolves were kind of looking for was safety. Regardless of that, this isn't a great start for them, and it's an uphill battle from here.
It's not the start they would have wanted when you're coming up a team against Arsenal. You don't want to be chasing the game, especially considering Arsenal have only conceded 10 goals this season. We've spoke about that already on this show. Let's quickly backtrack a little bit and go all the way back to Kane Wiz between RB Leipzig and Heidenheim. Kane, RB Leipzig come into this season, they beat Bayern Munich in the German Super Cup comfortably 3-0, and there was talk of, in Marco Rose's second term as Leipzig manager, that there was really talk of them pushing forward and challenging Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, and Bayer Leverkusen now. But as we've seen, their poor form in the Bundesliga, really poor recently, especially away from home. Luckily, they are at home today. Has seen them drop back, and RB Leipzig setting the pace, yet to lose this season. Bayern Munich there equaling them as well, toe to toe. Really, for RB Leipzig, it's been a shockingly poor season by the standards that were given to them before.
Yeah, as you say, that they're safely through the Champions League knockouts, but losing 4 of their last 6 games in all competitions finds them 11 points off the league leaders. And that's by Leverkusen, and also being out the DFB Pokal as well. They're sitting 5th in the league, and things are by no means catastrophic for them. But today is a pivotal opportunity for Marco Rose to pick up some points on the board and just keep close into that.
Thank you very much, Kane Wiz. I think we lost him for a brief second there. Hopefully, we'll be able to get him back right after. Well, I was going to say right over, but this is Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Get involved in NairaBet Super Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. Manchester City take on Tottenham Hotspur and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to €1,000. Whether you back the Citizens or Spurs, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com, bet on Man City versus Tottenham, receive your free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match markets or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18, minimum odds of 1.5, must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
You are listening.
You are listening
You are listening
To Football Live.
to Football Live
to Football Live.
on Brila FM.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Tomorrow afternoon on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM. Manchester City are at home to Tottenham Hotspur. Chelsea look to bounce back from defeat at Newcastle with a home match against Brighton and Hove Albion. Liverpool entertain Fulham at Anfield. There's a London derby as West Ham United take on Crystal Palace. And in Germany, the leaders and record breakers Bayer Leverkusen are up against Borussia Dortmund. Plenty of top football action to get stuck into tomorrow afternoon on Football Live. Be sure to join Dean Kilford from 3 o'clock West African time as we chase down those big goals in the big games exclusively on Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Arsenal are dreaming at the Emirates because they're 2-0 up.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's Odegaard with the second of the game, Jack Hesson.
Yeah, what a well-worked goal from Arsenal. Declan Rice in the middle of the park pings the ball to the right-hand side to Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka's crossing the box, just overhit, trickles all the way to Zinchenko on the left-hand side. He plays a quick 1-2 with Gabriel Jesus to get himself into the byline. Gets it back across the face of goal into Martin Odegaard, who's standing in around the penalty area, and it's a lovely first-time finish into the bottom left-hand corner. Arsenal in cruise control at the Emirates Stadium this afternoon. 13 minutes played, it's Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
For Arsenal coming into this game, they had not scored in the opening 15 minutes of a Premier League game in this campaign, with their earliest coming in the 17th minute. Well, they scored 2 inside 17 minutes, now actually inside 15 minutes. What an incredible start it is for the Gunners. We're really firing early on. We also have a goal in Leipzig.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
A team that are really struggling for form, who have just won 3 of their last 7 matches in the Bundesliga, slipping to 5th in the table. Well, they've scored 2 early on against Heidenheim. We'll say 2 early on. We've got 2 within inside 40 minutes against Heidenheim. But the away team have just got a goal back.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And we saw the newly promoted Premier League team do something similar in their last away game, which we covered here actually on Football Live, when it was Bayern Munich who went 2-0 up against Heidenheim. They then pulled it back from 2 goals down. In the end, it was Munich who ended up running out 4-2 winners in that game. However, we've seen them do it before, coming down from 2-0 advantage, 2-0 goals down against superior outfits, shall we say. And they've got to go back 2-1. So it is RB Leipzig 2, Heidenheim 1. We will be with Kane Weir shortly for an update. Well, let's go to other Premier League games that we're covering so far. We have a lot of goals at the moment, but again, we haven't had a goal in these between Brentford and Luton, Molly Sumpter. And why is that?
Well, I think you can definitely say Brentford have started on the front foot of this game. Luton really not being able to kind of get anything together in these opening 15 minutes. Brentford are definitely having all the right ideas. Brian and Burmo, as you would expect, getting plenty of action within the Luton box, but not quite clinical enough with their finishing at the moment. Nothing really challenging the Luton keeper so far. It's been an interesting 15 minutes, some great football being played by Brentford, but as it stands, it's 15 minutes gone. Brentford 0, Luton 0.
Luton beating Crystal Palace last week. Molly, Crystal Palace, who were drews down to 10. They've won 2-1 in that game. I believe it said 1-0. It was 2-1. I've double checked. And actually, the Hatters are only one of 4 sides yet to keep a top flight clean sheet this season, conceding 9 goals in their first 3 games. They've only let in 14 in their last 10, however. For them, Luton, they're out of the relegation zone because Everton had their points deducted. They're an interesting place, aren't they? Because I doubt many people would have expected them to have 2 wins so far on the board this season and be in the position of having 9 points with 3 draws as well. Doing too bad, are they?
No, I definitely think as the team that is kind of the unlikely team to have come up and the one that everybody in the league, I feel, would be writing off at this point in the season. They have been quite lucky in the sense of Everton getting that points deduction, which does lift them just out of the relegation zone. But I don't think they can be completely discredited. If you cast your mind back to the game they played against Spurs, they definitely caused Tottenham some trouble there. And they proved that whilst they are the unlikely, they're the underdogs of the Premier League, really, they can be a team that will test you. And I think that, this is a massive game and a massive statement for them to really prove that they are a team that can challenge. And I think if they can get anything out of today, that will make a massive statement, not only to the league, but also to their position in the table. It would be a massive lift for them to get, even if they can come away with a draw today, that's massive for them.
Especially against a team like Brentford, who are so well drilled and so well organised under Thomas Frank. Thank you very much, Molly. Let's now go to Patrick Narek covering Burnley v Sheffield United. We saw the Clarets get on the score sheet within 1 minute, wasn't it, Patrick? And then we debated the question. We asked the question, would Vincent Kompany's team look to build on or would they sit back? What have they done in the next 15 minutes?
Half enough, really, because what they're doing is when Sheffield United get the ball, they just drop back into a low block and a 4-4-2 and just wait, try to get them on the break. They seem to be controlling the game quite well. Not many chances by Sheffield United nor Burnley. So it looks to me at the moment, the plan is to basically, look, we've got 1-0 after 1 minute. Let's keep it tight and see what happens and see if we can actually get them on the counter. With 19 gone, it is still Burnley 1, Sheffield United 0.
Half-time between RB Leipzig and Heidenheim Kane is. What team will be happier after those 2 late goals for both sides, making it 2-1 going into the break? Which side will be happier? Will it be RB Leipzig breathing a huge sigh of relief after they let their 2-goal advantage slip to Heidenheim on the 47th minute? Or will it be Heidenheim on the happier team, kind of losing that momentum and losing the opportunity, any opportunity they could have had to kind of shake RB Leipzig?
Well, Marco Rosa will probably be happy with the performance from his side today. And he'll be thinking about how they've went and got on the ball and they've went and really kept the ball and just kept it moving and created a lot of chances. The likes of Openda and Poulsen. And obviously the first goal coming in from Openda from the penalty spot. But the second goal just comes in from a long ball, which you would have thought Heidenheim would deal with, where it's a long ball in just into the right-hand side. The ball's just crossed in, and then Poulsen just gets front post and just nicks it in to make it 2-0. And Marco Rosa would be a lot happier than Frank Schmidt in the Heidenheim dugout. But then from kick-off, the ball just goes long. Heidenheim win the next ball, and it goes out for a corner, and the ball comes in, and Gimba just gets up above all of the players and just heads it in. It's a poor goal to give away for Leipzig, when you especially think that all the control they've had in that first half. So, yeah, mixed emotions probably for both managers. Heidenheim probably want to get higher up the pitch and really go and just defend the half that little bit higher in there. But it is at half-time, Leipzig 2, Heidenheim 1.
Kane, in terms of the Bundesliga this season, tomorrow is Bayer Leverkusen v Borussia Dortmund. Do you think it is between Leverkusen and Bayern Munich for the Premier League title, for the Bundesliga title this season, or can a team like RB Leipzig get back in? Because they're only 8 points off the top, or do you just see those two teams just being superior and not dropping that many points?
Yeah, once I think Bayern Munich starting to get a bit of a run together, and although I think they've won the last 5 games, but Leverkusen again are just trying to keep away and keeping that gap. But Stuttgart as well in 3rd place, they're only I think about 5 points behind Leverkusen at the top of the league. Then Leipzig 1 point behind Stuttgart there. So I think in that top 4 there's probably a bit of a shout in that. But I think ultimately, Josh, and you'll know this, it'll come down to when the teams play each other there, and that's normally when Bayern Munich normally come into their own and win the big games. But you never know, if they start picking up points, the likes of Stuttgart, Leipzig, Leverkusen, it might open up the Bundesliga and make it not so comfortable for Bayern Munich.
Let's go to Jack Hessen, where Arsenal, they're getting so close to their 3rd. What a start this would be, Jack.
Yeah, it really is just the Arsenal show. They are all over Wolves at the moment, and they really could have got a 3rd. There, Martin Odegaard on the edge of the area, pings a ball into the box. Trossard advancing towards it, takes a great first touch, tries to bring it down, can't get his footing right, so his shot is really weak towards Jose Sa in goal, and Sa's able to make the save. Sa, however, picked up an injury on that second goal and looks like he is going to be coming off. So just checking if that's the case. Yes, it looks like they will be coming off just now. We're waiting for that confirmation on the substitution. So Jose Sa in goals for Wolves is being subbed off. 21 minutes played. It's still Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
How do Wolves get back into this game, Jack? That's a very broad and simple question, but one that really needs to be asked, because when you're trailing 2-0 after 22 minutes at the Emirates, it all but seems impossible when you're chasing a team who then Arsenal just control the possession, pose their free will on you, shall we say. It almost seems like it's an impossible position for Wolves.
Yeah, well, whatever they've got to do, they've got to try and do it quickly, because they're trying to play rigid at the moment. They're really stuck in their own half. They've not had a touch really in Arsenal's half this entire first half so far, so it's been difficult for them. Do they have a go? Do they try and push numbers forward and potentially have an embarrassing defeat on their hands? It could go the flip side as well, and they could get a goal back in the game and push some momentum. Just to confirm that substitution as well, it's Jose Sa that's came off and Daniel Bentley comes on to replace him. So it's all going downhill for Wolves and Arsenal. It's all going in the right places at the moment. 23 minutes played. Still Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
Oh, there we go. Right, we have got some other games being covered around Europe right now. Joe's obviously going on injured in that. We hope he is okay. But we're not just covering the Premier League for you this afternoon. We do want to keep you up to date with scores around Europe, and that we will do so trying to. In the Bundesliga right now, it's half-time in a variety of games. Bochum are currently beating Wolfsburg 2-1. Wolfsburg are the team that beat RB Leipzig last weekend in the Bundesliga. Mönchengladbach, they're currently drawing 0-0 with Hoffenheim 0-0. And obviously RB Leipzig and Heidenheim is 2-1 there. Stuttgart and Werder Bremen, that's coming up at 6:30. And also Bayern Munich v Union Berlin, which was the game we were meant to be covering, but that has been called off for snow. No flights out of Munich. All travel is absolutely suspended, so there was physically no way for anyone to get into the game. I'm not sure if you've seen the pictures of the Allianz Arena on social media, but it's covered in snow. It's picturesque in a way if you are a fan of it, but at the same time, it's disappointing because we could have had a fantastic game between those two teams. Union Berlin, who were a Champions League team last season, but not only have they struggled in the Champions League, they then also struggled in the Bundesliga. They're currently rock bottom, only 7 points, 2 wins and 1 draw after a team that really was punching them off their weight. It seemed as if the Champions League and punching them off their weight has punished them for that. We've literally just had a goal in the Serie A. It's now Genoa 1, Empoli 1. Empoli getting an equaliser, and coming up at 7 o'clock, it's Lazio v Cagliari. There we go. Such a difficult word to say. I should be able to say it, but there we go. That's coming up at 6 o'clock. And then at 8:45, it's AC Milan through Frisione. That is coming up at 8:45. In the Nigerian Premier League, or the NPFL, it's Doma United 1, Niger 0. It's Aqua United 0, Kawara 0. It's Bendel 0, Lobby Stars 0, and it's Enyimba 0, Sunshine Stars 0. All those games are around about the 26th minute mark, apart from Doma United v Niger. That is in the 63rd minute. Doma United are winning 1-0 in that game. In the Saudi Pro League right now, we have 2 games coming up. We have 2 games right now. It's Al Fatah 0, Al Tai 0. It's Al Akadud 0, and Al Atafik League 0. It's Al Rahid and Al Waida. That's coming up at 7. And Al Shabab the Al Tawan. That is also at 7 o'clock as well. Girona v Valencia. That has ended 2-1 in the early kickoff in the La Liga on this Saturday afternoon. Atletico Bilbao and Rayo Vallecano are 0-0. Real Madrid and Granada, that's at 6:30. And we have Mark Thomas on that one for you in his debut. And then at 9 o'clock, we have Osasuna v Real Sociedad. And those are the games around your ball. Let's not forget Ligue 1 as well. We have Lenzi Lyon. That's at 5 o'clock. Lyon are going to have their new manager for that after their old one now, shall we say. The one they were into last week was sacked after their poor start, which sees them rock bottom of Ligue 1. And then Nantes v Nice. That is at 9 o'clock as well. There's also some games in the FA Cup. The FA Cup first round right now. Bring you any shocks or scores, shall we say, because there are a few non-league teams. Sutton v Horsham is one of them. That's 0-0 right now. And Maidstone v Barrow winning 1-0 there. Apart from that, we had a couple of suspended. The big one, really, Wolverhampton v Walsall. That was coming up. That's postponed. And Blackpool v Vorskine is also postponed. Sutton v Horsham actually has a really, shall we say, an interesting underlying to it. Horsham actually lost to Barnsley a couple of weeks ago, so they weren't meant to be in the FA Cup first round. However, it has to be said that to the FA Cup second round. Apologies. However, Barnsley ended up fielding an uneligible player, which meant that Horsham have booked their place v Sutton, and right now they're holding their own. It's currently 0-0. We have a goal in the Premier League.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's a second goal for Burnley. It's the Cloud and Blue 2 and the Yellow of Sheffield United 0. And for the relegation 6-pointer, this is going to be a result which will propel Burnley off the bottom of the Premier League table and above Sheffield United. They now currently sit 18th. That'll be dependent on Everton's result of this weekend and later on against Nottingham Forest. But Burnley right now are currently 2 points off Luton, who are drawing 0-0 with Brentford currently. So it will also be a fantastic result for Burnley. However, we did see them lead against West Ham this time last Saturday. They had a 1-0 lead, which ended up succumbing to West Ham, which saw them lose that 2-1. 2 late goals from David Moyes' team meant they lost that game 2-1, and that was a result which really went begging for them. But if they can hold on here, go to that 2-0 goal, get a 2-0 lead against Sheffield United, it'll be a crucial, but it's a 3 points for them, but it's practically 6 the way it shifts things at the bottom of the table. Let's go to Molly Sumpter now, who is watching over Luton v Brentford. Brentford are the home team in that game at the G-Tech Arena. Molly, for Luton, that's not a great result for them, is it, right now?
No, not at the moment. This is definitely not what they'd be wanting to see. Luton are a team that's only managed to score 2 goals in the opening 45 minutes so far this season. So it's not looking like they're going to at the moment, and Brentford definitely doing a good job of making sure they don't get any chances as it stands. At the moment, Brentford definitely playing through the flanks. Yegor Yarmiluk for Brentford definitely picking up a lot of passes and getting them into the box to their attack, but it's not really bringing anything too troubling for the Luton keeper so far. As it stands, we've got 29 minutes gone. It's Brentford 0, Luton 0.
Patrick Norret, tell us about the goal for Burnley.
It was a well-worked goal, but I mean, it was coming anyway. It was they came through the midfield, but basically a nice little pass by Darren O'Shea to Jacob Brown, who actually went 1-1 with the keeper and damaged the keeper and passed the ball into the net. So we've 30 gone just before half time, 15 minutes before half time. It is Burnley 2, Sheffield United 0.
Sheffield United, they've lost their last 5 of their last 6 away fixtures this season, and they've conceded a league high of 34 goals, Patrick Norret. Are you seeing those defensive frailties here, especially against a team like Burnley, who they're known for their attacking flair, aren't they? Which has seen them come undone and embarrassed in the Premier League many times this season. They're sticking by, and it seems like they're reaping the rewards for that philosophy against the Blades right now.
I think so. I mean, he's not changing the way he's playing, except, as I said, the first goal came from a long ball, but they keep the ball well. They really do. And when you do close them down, they pass it around you. So this second goal was a great goal, just passing, pass. So he won't change the way he plays. So if he plays that way, maybe, you never know, might get more results. But with 31 gone, still Burnley 2, Sheffield United 0.
Let's go to Jack Hesson to get an update between Arsenal and Wolves. The Gunners are currently walking to victory.
Yes, they are. Wolves are getting a bit more of the ball now, and it might be a promising sign for Gary O'Neill's side, but every loose ball just seems to be picking up to Arsenal. They're trying to pass the ball across the back line, get it into the midfield, but Arsenal are there on a high press to pick it up. They're looking for that space out wide as well. Wolves, to get them any joy at this point, they just need a bit of luck to get themselves back in this game. Still cruise control at the moment for Arsenal, however. Half an hour played, it's still Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
Arsenal right now, Jack Hess, are going to have a 4-point lead at the top of the Premier League. 27 goals, 29 goals for, only 10 goals conceded. This Arsenal team, do you think it's better than last year?
Yeah, I do think so. I think, as I mentioned before the game, they seem a lot more mature. They seem a lot more established than what they were last season. It's still a long way to go. Really, what's going to be the undoing, it might be the same as last year when it comes to things like injuries could potentially be the problem that they face. But if they keep this side fit, then they'll potentially take Man City all the way. They'll be 4 points clear, as you mentioned, if they win. And psychologically, as City play later on, that could be a big difference as well.
It feels like they have the attacking depth now with the likes of Kai Havertz and the midfield depth as well. But it's that defence where they're still lacking those reinforcements. But I feel like you see that, don't you? For example, with Liverpool, if Virgil van Dijk was to go down with an incredible injury like he did, and we saw them suffer, we do see it, don't we, with these teams, that when with defenders, it feels like that you have to have that one defender, that Rolls-Royce defender like William Saliba, who kind of glues everything together, and without them, you just got to kind of hope and pray that they don't get injured.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because if you've got a player who's a backup centre-half, they're not going to be as good as a player that's playing at centre-half, and a player who is better than being a backup will not want to be a backup. They want to play, but at the same time, teams have to be consistent with who they play in the back line, so it's hard to attract depth in that position. They've got Ben White on the bench. They don't really fancy him at centre-half. Jacob Kiwior, obviously Holding, they no longer have in the starting 11. That's a big change for them. Again, it's just crucial that those two, Gabriel and Saliba, stay fit for as long as they can this season for Arsenal.
Without them, you never know what Arsenal might be. Let's enjoy the good times right now. If you're an Arsenal fan, you're currently beating Wolves 2-0. Round up at the Premier League scores right now. It's Arsenal 2, Wolves 0. Thanks to goals from Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard. It's 0-0 between Brentford and Luton. Yet to be any goals there. We need goals, Molly Supter. Come on, maybe you can conjure something up for us. And then it's Burnley 2, Sheffield United 0 currently. And what is a relegation? 6 points. They're only at the start of December. Burnley have come flying out the trap, scored a goal within 1 minute. However, saying that, Patrick Nara, Sheffield United have just had a chance.
Yeah, it was Cameron Archer, a nice move. He found himself inside the box on his own, took a shot, just went far. With 34 gone, still Burnley 2, Sheffield United 0.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Get involved in NairaBet's Super Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. Manchester City take on Tottenham Hotspur and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to €1,000. Whether you back the Citizens or Spurs, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com, bet on Man City versus Tottenham, receive your free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match markets or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18, minimum odds of 1.5, must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
You are listening
to
Football Live.
To Football Live.
On Brila FM.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Tomorrow afternoon on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM. Manchester City are at home to Tottenham Hotspur. Chelsea look to bounce back from defeat at Newcastle with a home match against Brighton and Hove Albion. Liverpool entertain Fulham at Anfield. There's a London derby as West Ham United take on Crystal Palace. And in Germany, the leaders and record breakers Bayer Leverkusen are up against Borussia Dortmund. Plenty of top football action to get stuck into tomorrow afternoon on Football Live. Be sure to join Dean Kilford from 3 o'clock West African time as we chase down those big goals in the big games exclusively on Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, good afternoon. All the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. As you've heard, Arsenal are leading at home by 2-0 after 36 minutes gone. It's suspended for Arsenal at the moment. The draw has just gone down to 26.0, and for Wolves away win, it's 101.0. I'll get into it very, very shortly. Let me just go through the other games. Brentford-Luton is still 0-0, 36 minutes gone. Brentford are 1.62 favourites to win that game. The draw has just gone down to 3.40, and if you think Luton going to win, it's got back try score is 7.50. For the RB Leipzig game, which is the other game we concentrate on, the German Bundesliga, just kicked off at about 4th minute of second half. Leipzig, they're 1.08, so literally next to nothing for the home win. The draw is 11.0, and Heidenheim to win is 41.0. The other games that are happening at the moment in the Bundesliga, Bochum are leading Wolfsburg by 2-1. 5 minutes gone into the second half. Bochum are 1.44 for the win. The draw is 4.33, and it's just gone down to Wolfsburg to 8.0. There's a 0-0 game happening at the moment as well between Borussia Mönchengladbach and Hoffenheim. Borussia Mönchengladbach are 2.62 for the win. The draw is 3.0, and an away win for Hoffenheim just gone up to 3.10. Spanish La Liga has just been suspended, as just so about to mention it, as there's been a goal at Athletic Bilbao against Rayo Vallecano. Genoa, Empoli, they're playing in the 79th minute. They're 1-1 there, so there's still a chance in the last 10 minutes for anyone to nick that winner. Genoa are 4.75 for the win. The draw is 1.50, and Empoli away win is 6.50. Just talking about the Arsenal Wolves game, of course, if you think there's going to be a few interesting score lines, if you think Arsenal going to win 4-0, it's only 5.0. If you think something really exciting, Arsenal to win 4-3 in that game, that means we're going to have to see 3 goals from Wolves and 2 more from Arsenal, is 201.0. It's a bit more Arsenal way. 5-0 is 8.50, or 5-1 is 17.0. Of course, all these prices are from NairaBet, and they're all subject to change.
Thank you very much, John Kane. Let's immediately go to Arsenal, with the Gunners have hit the post.
Yeah, great chance there for Gabriel Martinelli. Wolves, as I mentioned, they had to make a decision whether to try and stay where they were or start coming out of their shell, and they have done so. They're getting numbers up the park, but it caused nearly a quick, wicked counter-attack from Arsenal. They got the ball high up the park, played it to Saka on the right-hand side. Saka spots the run of Martinelli towards the box. He switches the play. It's a perfect ball towards Martinelli. Squares up to the Wolves defender. Takes it with his right foot to curl it in the bottom left-hand corner and just hits the post. Wolves, as I mentioned, they are coming out of their shell now and getting numbers forward, but Arsenal showing the danger of that kind of style of play. 38 minutes played. It's now Arsenal, or still even Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
Well, there's been a couple of bookings around the rest of the games in the Premier League. We'll start with Patrick Narrett, because Sheffield United going 2-0 down. Seems like the frustration and anger is bubbling over, and it's ended up with them getting a yellow card.
Yeah, I think they're getting fed up because Burnley, what they're doing is they're passing the ball around and they can't get near them. So you've got John Fleck got a booking for Sheffield, and also Oliver McBurn, and then O'Shea just got booked as well. He made a bad tackle. So we've got 3 bookings in the last 5 minutes or so. But Burnley controlling it. They're controlling the tempo, they're controlling everything really. And I can't see Sheffield United getting back into it. But this is football, you'll never know. With 41 gone, still Burnley 2, Sheffield United 0.
Time wasting at Brentford in the GTEC Community Stadium, where the Luton keeper has just been booked. I said 4 time wasted, Molly Sumter. It's 0-0. What are they time wasting for?
Yeah, in all honesty, Josh, I think it's showing a complete lack of experience and a lack of knowing what to do. Brentford have been on the front foot this entire half. I think it's 75% possession for Brentford and 25 for Luton. I think that really does tell the story of this half so far. I think it's a bit of frustration, but I think you've got to give your hat off to the ref for actually kind of noticing it and punishing it, because this is a thing that keepers do so often in the Premier League, and it does not get penalised in the way that it should. So I think Luton, this maybe is a bit of a kick for them to try and make something happen. But as I said, I think it is showing the lack of experience and lack of creativity from Luton, because they haven't been able to get out of their own half. Brentford have been all over them this half, and I think time wasting seems to be the only thing they've resorted to. But it's just coming up to half time, 41 minutes gone, Brentford 0, Luton 0.
Is it a case of Luton just hanging on right now then, Molly? Is it Brentford the better team right now?
Oh, most definitely. I think that it's kind of, you're waiting for this Brentford goal to go in. They've been on the attack for the past 40 minutes, really. And Burmo really getting unlucky with some of his chances so far. There've been a few good moments of defending from Luton. You've got to give them credit for that. But I think it is just a case of hanging on to this draw and maybe making it through to half time at the moment for Luton, because Brentford definitely looking the most likely to score at the moment.
Well, they've only got a few more minutes to do that. 4 minutes until it is half time. So hopefully they can hold it on for 0-0. Can't believe they're absolutely time wasting. It's absolutely incredible. That's beside me. But there we go. Let's go to Kane Weird between RB Leipzig and Heidenheim, which saw 2 goals right before the referee blew his whistle for the 15-minute break, or other known as half time. Kane, is there anything of note so far in the opening exchanges of the second half?
Just similar to the first half, Josh, in terms of RB Leipzig just going and getting on the ball, and with the width of the fullbacks and Henriks and Ram really getting around the outside and trying to get balls into the box for Openda and Poulsen. But yeah, not really much changes. Heidenheim still sitting on the edge of the box and trying to defend their way through the game and keep it nice and close. And I think that the big challenge really for Heidenheim is when they get the ball, the turnovers are too easy and they're playing really direct. And with that little box, with the 2 centre-halves and the 2 midfielders with Haidara, Schlager, Klosterman and Dimikan there, it's just making things so much easier on the turnovers. But yeah, it's 55 minutes played. Still RB Leipzig 2, Heidenheim 1.
I mean, Heidenheim, they're not to be taken lightly, are they? And I think RB Leipzig are finding that, obviously coming up from the Premier League this season, gaining a promotion to the Bundesliga. It's the Premier League, again, gaining the promotion to the Bundesliga for the first time in their history. Actually, many people thought they'd just put by the wayside. Many people forget about them. There'd be an easy 3 points every season. But they're 3 points clear of the bottom 3 with 11 points. You know, to really made a game against Bayern Munich. They're no mugs, shall we say, Kane?
No, and as you say, the first season in the Bundesliga. And you can see at times it's frustrating for RB Leipzig to play against, where they're sitting, they're defending deep, and they're really, really defending the box nice and narrow. And to be fair, they've got some great energy out of possession when they go and try and rat the ball back nice and quick. And I think they're averaging just under a point a game. They're above the likes of Darmstadt, Mainz, Union Berlin, Cologne as well. So they're keeping up there. And actually, if they get a win today, I think they can move up to about 11th or 10th. So, yeah, you can see in terms of them coming in, and safety's just the aim for them this season. But it'll be a great experience for them, for Frank Schmidt, and for all of the fans being in the Bundesliga for the first time.
Let's get back to the Premier League, where Sheffield United have had more bookings as their frustration grows with their 2-0 deficit to Burnley right now.
Yeah, I think the ball's being passed around and they don't like it. I can see the manager shouting every time Burnley's moving that ball about. Luke Thomas got himself booked. And I thought another booking could have been a sending off, So I think the way the team's going, they're playing right. Someone will get sent off sooner or later, and it'll probably be Sheffield United. With 5 minutes extra to play, it's still 45 gone. Burnley 2, Sheffield United 0.
Calls for handball against Brentford, and who is it for, Molly Sumpter?
Well, it's in the Luton box, and it looks like it just bounces up from Osho's leg onto his arm, which It's unlucky. It's extremely unlucky. But the Brentford faithful making their voices heard how they feel about that. I think it is a sign of slight desperation and making their frustrations at their side's lack of clinicality in this half known. That they're calling for that handball. Anthony Taylor, has waved that away straight away. No VAR check on that either. But Brentford definitely getting frustrated at their side at the moment that they haven't managed to find the back of the net so far. I think they've created 7 goal chances in this half to Luton's none. So that really shows how on top of them they've been. Unlucky to not be ahead at the moment. It's Brentford 0, Luton 0.
It is a red card for Sheffield United. They have completely and utterly lost their head since Brian Larsson's second goal, which made the deficit 2-0 to Burnley. They've had 3 yellow cards, 1 for John Fleck, 1 for Ollie McBurney, and 1 for Thomas. Well, as the clock crept in the 45th minute, McBurney got his second yellow card, which resulted in a straight red for the Sheffield United striker. Anger has filled their bodies and their minds, and it has led to McBurney being sent off for a second yellow card offence. And now you have to say the game is all but gone for them. That is not the type of attitude that you need and not the type of mentality you need when you are in a relegation chat, Patrick Narrett. They still had a chance with all 11 men on the pitch, but now, without their striker leading the line, you've got to feel like all hope is lost.
Yeah, I could see it coming, like I said to you when you last came to me, and they were getting a bit into them, I'd say, they were passing the wall around. It was an elbow, a stupid elbow, and he was in the yellow already, and he got a second yellow, and that's it. It's gone. So it's really silly what he did. But, when these teams when a player gets a red card when they walk off, you can see the manager basically ignored him completely. So with about maybe 3 minutes or so left, extra time, it's 47 gone. Still Burnley 2, Sheffield United 0.
We've got 7 minutes till we hand over to FJ and the team for our break with Nigeria. And we've got 7 minutes added on time at the Emirates, Jack Hesson.
Yeah, around 7 minutes of added time. It's due to Max Kilman being down with a head knock for a number of minutes, about 10 minutes or so ago. He is okay, so he's back on the field now. But yeah, into that added time. Wolves have been able to weather that early Arsenal storm. Obviously, in that initial 15 minutes, it was frantic, and Arsenal have struggled to keep that up. Wolves creeping back into the game, but ever so slowly. Really, they're going to need a bit of luck, a bit of magic to try and get themselves a goal back, which could switch the momentum of the game going into the second half. But 47 minutes on the clock, 7 minutes added time. It's still Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
Arsenal scored 7 goals without conceding when doing the double over Wolves last season, and now add another 2 onto that. So that is 9 goals unanswered for Arsenal over the last year and a half. What a record they have over Wolves. It's half time between Burnley and Luton. Molly Sumter has produced no goals and really produced no real chances of note, apart from that late handball attempt, which I'm assuming was dismissed and waved away by the referee.
Yeah, it's half-time here. Brentford 0, Luton 0. The handball incident on the replay, you can see he completely leans out of the way of the ball. As I mentioned before, probably a sign of desperation from the Brentford fans. But it's been 11 shots for Brentford, only 2 on target and 9 off, none at all for Luton. I think that really does tell the story of this half so far. Brentford definitely on the front foot in terms of play, all of the possession for them, but not quite able to get anything that even comes close to Luton's goal, really. When you look at the stats, it's really not proving to be very good for them. That front three that Brentford have, Mbuemo, Visser, you really would kind of expect them to be producing more against the Luton side that really haven't given them much to think about. I think it's a poor performance, really, when you look at it from that perspective from Brentford so far. Luton will be looking to put a little bit more pressure on and maybe offer something a bit more in this second half, but that remains to be seen. It's half-time here at the GTEC Stadium. It's Brentford 0, Luton 0.
We probably shouldn't be surprised that Brentford are going into the half-time against Luton without scoring. Today, they're aiming to avoid losing 3 consecutive league games without scoring for the first time since March 2012 in League One. But something to give a little bit of hope to the R2 to Brentford fans is the fact that they've scored in each of their past 9 league wins when it come in London, with 5 at home and 4 away. Right, we're going to go to Jack Hesson quickly just to get a joke for Arsenal before we go to FJ and the team.
Yeah, chance for Arsenal there. Wolves lazy possession in the middle of the park. Launched Arsenal into a quick counter-attack. Rice got the ball to Gabriel Jesus, advancing into the box. Tried to hit it low and curling into the bottom left-hand corner, but Bentley in goals managed to make the save. So a chance squandered for Arsenal, but it's been a great first half for them. 50 minutes on the clock, 7 minutes added time. It's Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
It's half-time between Burnley and Sheffield United, where they've got a 2-0 lead. It's 0-0 between Brentford and Luton half-time, and as Jack Heston said brilliantly there, it's Arsenal 2, Wolves 0. For now, though, it's time to go to FJ and the team in Nigeria.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome back to Football Live, where we've got a few goals to bring you.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And the goal comes at Brentford, who are needing a flying start after their goalless first half, and I've got exactly that against Luton. It's the Bees 1, Luton 0. And the fact that they could breathe a sigh of relief because their last home game against Arsenal ended up in a 1-0 defeat, and that ended a run of scoring in 19 consecutive Premier League home games. Well, they're not going to go back-to-back without scoring a Premier League goal, because that is a big goal for them, because they've got their goal against Luton, one they were desperate to search for. Luton have been disciplined, they've been stubborn, and Brentford have finally struck back. And no better time to do it right off the back of half-time. However, potentially there could be a VAR check, I believe, on that. Maybe, John Kenny, if you could just check that. Looks like there could be. They are maybe. It might be standing tall. But with 15 minutes gone, then yes, there is. There is VAR on that goal. So Brentford, hold your breath. Brentford fans, because you had your goal. You were 1-0 up, but it is given. It stands. Brentford 1, Luton 0. We'll be with Molly shortly. Luton, who actually made a substitute within that. So within that mess at half-time to make it 1-0. Let's go to Jack Heston then now, shall we? Because, well, it's Arsenal v Wolverhampton, which hasn't started yet, quite yet, Jack. But what were your takes on that first half? Because we didn't get your half-time report. Probably a bit late for that now. What were your takes on the first half of what you saw?
Yeah, I think it was a really interesting case of Arsenal. Obviously, in that first opening 15 minutes, really explosive, really high-paced. But then after that, chances were really at a premium for them. I think Wolves done well to weather the storm from earlier on in the game. Arsenal struggled to keep that high tempo that they started the game at. Chances are at a premium. They hit the post, of course. Gabriel Martinelli had a good chance. The sub-goalkeeper for Wolves, Bentley, made a decent save from that. And really for Wolves, it's keeping it at this level, even just keeping it at 2-0. I think that given the opening 15 minutes, they would have been happy, really, for it to have only been 2-0, and just getting on the end of any chances, any mistake, anything that they can to get them back in this game, because I think the next goal in this game is probably going to be the crucial one that decides where this game's going to go from here. As I said, we're just seconds away from the second half. Should be a good one. It's Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
It was incredible how in control Arsenal were in that first half. Obviously, they hadn't scored within the first 15 minutes for a Premier League fixture all season. But today, they did that, and they got actually 2 goals. As they say, buses, when you wait for one for that long, they all both 2 come along at once. And that's exactly what happened to Arsenal today. Arsenal 2, Wolverhampton 0. The second half has just got underway. Let's go to Patrick Nara at Turf Moor, where Burnley lead 2-0. A couple of minutes into the second. Actually, no, before we do go to Patrick Nara, we are going to go to Molly Sumter, who can tell us about the goal at Brentford, which sees the Bees 1-0 up against the Hatters.
Yeah, it's Brentford 1, Luton 0. It's the goal that they've been looking for that entire first half. It's a great ball in from Johan Visser from the left-hand side. It's ping-ponged around the box. Luton scrambling in the defence to get it away. But who other than Neil Maupay to find the bottom left corner of the net on the half volley for Brentford. It's exactly what they needed to kick-start this half. It's a great start for them. 52 minutes gone. Brentford 1, Luton 0.
Well, for Brentford, this is the perfect start for them, isn't it? I think you just said that there. This is Luton. They're a tough, disciplined outfit, aren't they? And, they're even time wasting at the end of the first half, which is incredible. For Brentford, that goal that early on is crucial, because now Luton have to come out, they have to play, they have to do what they're not great at, which is scoring goals. Only 12 goals scored this season, which isn't the worst in the league, but you definitely like better. They've got, this is perfect for Brentford, isn't it?
It's perfect for Brentford, and it definitely does change the game plan for Luton. They're going to have to come out. As we said, they've kept it extremely defensive so far this game, but this is definitely what they need. They need to get out of their own half. They made a substitution going into this second half. Jacob Brown has come on for Tom Lockyer, who was down in the first couple of minutes of the first half, but managed to see it through for the first 45. But he has come off the pitch, so a switch up in defence for Luton. But it is the attack that they're going to need to refine in order to get something out of this game. They really, really need to get going. I think a stat's just come up here. Brentford have had 16 touches in the opposition box. Luton are yet to have any. So I think it's definitely going to change the narrative of the game and the game plan for Luton. We'll wait and see what happens. It could mean an embarrassing scoreline if Luton have to come out, but I think it will definitely make a much more tasty game of it. It's Brentford 1, Luton 0.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Patrick Norret now. Patrick, 2-0 to Burnley. Sheffield United now down to 10 men after that late on with Randy for sending off. Brentford's game to lose, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and I think what's happened now, they decided to make a couple of substitutions. Luke Thomas has come off. It seems like James McAfee's come on. And also John Fleck, I think he got a booking in the first half. He came off as well. And William Osula come on. So I think if the way it's going to happen, I mean, playing 10 minutes is difficult, I think. But I think what they're going to have to do is come out. Let Burnley come on to him and see if we can hit him on a counter. The next goal, we'll see how this game will go. But with 52 gone, still Burnley 2, Sheffield United 0.
For Sheffield United, how do they adjust this, Pat? The 2 down to 10 men, lost their striker. Where do they go? What do they do?
Well, they normally play a 3 at the back. It's not going to be that much of a change. Just push someone up. When they've got the ball, just put more people up front. When they haven't got it, just drop back into the position. But as it stands at the moment, they've got to go for it. By doing that, they will leave gaps because Burnley are very good in passing that ball, and they seem to be going down the left-hand side and the right-hand side trying to get crosses onto Rodriguez. So I think it's a catch-22. You go forward, lose more goals, or do you basically say, you know what, let's cut our losses, let's lose 2-0 and go home and try again next week. But they're going to have a go anyway. They can't just sit there. They're going to have a go. So let's see what they do. 53 gone still. Burnley 2. Sheffield United 0.
Jack Kesson will also have had a chance, and Gabriel Jesus wants a penalty, but it's not been given.
Yeah, he did want a penalty. It was a great whipped ball. Tommy Ashew taking it to the byline, plays a great whipped ball across the face of goal. Jesus is there in the middle. He almost gets there. Jesus goes down, wants a penalty. The referee take a look at it and said, not given. 48 minutes played. It's still Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
No penalty there, but we do have a goal. Now Brentford.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Brentford 2, Luton 0, and it's a start which will put a smile across Thomas Frank's face. Whenever he said in that half-time team talk, it has worked. Brentford, they were frustrated in the first half, just couldn't break down Luton and really struggled to show any creativity, a limited amount of shots and shots on target within the first 45 minutes. But it's a quick-fire double which has seen them race into a 2-goal lead. It's Brentford 2, Luton 0. The Hatters, what do they do now? Where do they go from here? That means all our goals now, all our games now on Football Live are separated by a 2-goal advantage and all have the same scoreline. It's Arsenal 2, Wolves 0, Brentford 2, Luton 0, and Burnley 2, Sheffield United 0. We're now going to head over to which you're going to get that goal for Arsenal. The goal scorer for Arsenal, the goal scorer for Brentford, sorry, was Ben Mee. He's the person that puts Brentford 2-0 up. We're going to go to, let's go to Kane Wiz because he's watching over RB Leipzig, the Heidenheim Kane, a game that he's coming to a close now, 88 minutes gone in this game. And RB Leipzig, what really heard from you in the last few minutes? Have they been comfortable in the second half? Heidenheim pressured them. How was the game played out in the second half in the Bundesliga?
Yeah, the games became so open, it's became like a basketball game, and it's so predictable. And if you're Marco Rosa, you'll be really frustrated with your side about, one, not putting the chances away, but two, not just controlling and managing the game, because, for example, the likes of Openda, Poulsen, Siemens are getting in behind and not putting the chances away. Then the gaps where Haidara and Schlager should be protecting the two centre-halves are just too big, and then Heidenheim are just winning the ball and just playing it in behind and getting chances there. So really, this could end up 2-2, it could end up 3-1, it could end up 3-2 at this rate. There's still a few minutes obviously left of this, and I would still think there's goal in here, but it's still 88 minutes in. It's RB Leipzig 2, Heidenheim 1.
For Leipzig, a win here would be absolutely huge for them, wouldn't it, Kane? Because for them, they climb back into the top 4 finally get a win after a really turbulent last few games. Can't be understated how much the 3 points means to them.
Massive, and as you say, obviously the move above Borussia Dortmund currently as it stands on 26 points, and then they're only a point behind Stuttgart in third, and then they're I think about 8 points behind Leverkusen in top spot, but obviously they have a game in hand, so I think it just means that Bundesliga is that little bit closer and keeps them in touch and distance across the season with only being 13 games played. But yeah, a must win really for Marco Rosa to try and decrease any pressure that's been built on him recently in the media.
Thank you very much, Kane. With Brentford and Luton, they've met 71 times in their history, but they've never met in the top flight. And during those 71 games, I'll say during those 71 games, in the last few games, Brentford have won 5 and drawn one of their past 6 league games against Luton. Some things never change today. Molly Sumter and Ben Mee is making very sure of that with these two teams meeting the Premier League as he makes it 2-0 to the Bees.
Yeah, it's Brentford 2, Luton 0. It was whipped in a corner from the left-hand side, and none other than Ben Mee, who has risen high above the Luton defence and headed it home past the Luton keeper. It's a brilliant header from him, so much power behind it. Brentford fans run over and pile on top of each other. Rob Edwards is scratching his head. He's not sure what to do. Since that first Brentford goal, his side seemed to have fallen apart. They're not sure what they're doing either. And Brentford are simply just capitalising on that. It's a brilliantly worked goal. Brentford on the attack again. But as it stands, it's 59 minutes gone. Brentford 2, Luton 0.
With all our games coming into about the 55th minute mark now, the next 35 minutes could be pretty procedural here on Football Live. All our home teams are leading by a 2-goal advantage. So we need one of the away teams to cause up a stir and maybe get a goal back. And it's looking most likely to be Wolves at this point, Jack Hesson, as they've just come closest.
Yeah, the first real chance of the game, Wolves, and it was a great bit of play from Matheus Cunha from the left-hand side. A great mazy run towards the box. He squares up against Declan Rice as he advances into the area from the left-hand side, makes a great quick direction change to open up the space, tries to hit it in to the near post, and David Raya is able to make the save. So Wolves getting into the game a bit more now, as we expected to bring numbers forward. We've got to watch that Arsenal counter-attack, of course, but as I mentioned, a bit of brilliance, a bit of magic, or potentially a bit of luck could get them back into this game. It is still only 2-0, 53 minutes played. Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
There's once upon a time, Jack, where Wolves really struggled for goals, didn't they, before Julian Lopetegui came in last season. But it's a different team now when they do tend to score goals. The fact that they've scored in their last 12 Premier League games, that's their second longest score streak in the division. And Gary Neville has made sure they're getting the goal in the back of the net. Have we seen Wolves have an attacking threat today, or has it been, shall we say, more like the old Wolves of the last few years?
Well, at the start of the game, obviously, they played a lot more rigid, a lot more inside their own half. Arsenal had them pinned in, to be fair. There wasn't much that they could do. But now that the space is opening up for them, you're starting to see a bit more of Matheus Cunha. You're starting to see a bit more of Hwang Hee-chan. And those are the kind of players that Wolves need to get on the ball if they want to try and bring this to 2-1. They are starting to get that space now, and really it's about trying to make the most of that as Arsenal start to tire in the game.
I mean, I was going to say about that in their tie, that fatigue for Arsenal, but could that become a factor, considering they had Lens in midweek, they had that Champions League tie, something which Wolves did not. Do you think fatigue could become a factor?
Yes, I think it absolutely could, especially the way that Arsenal started the first half, that opening 15 minutes. It probably sapped a lot of energy, whereas Wolves have sort of been sitting in. They haven't really done a lot of running, a lot of ground covering in that first half in the midfield. So they definitely at the moment look like the fresher legs, and they're taking advantage of that. And really Arteta now might need to start looking at substitutions to try and freshen things up for them.
Let's see what Arteta does. Let's see what hand he plays next. One team that aren't really seeming to do much right now, Patrick Nara, is Sheffield United. They're probably a little bit limited considering they don't have their McBurney spearheading their attack. And Burnley are comfortable right now.
Yeah, very comfortable. They're just moving the ball around and just passing it and making sure that Burnley don't get a chance on a counter. I mean, 74% possession, total possession. Sheffield United just cannot get that ball off of them. So I can't see them getting back to this unless Burnley do something stupid and make a mistake. At the moment, it's 60 gone. Still Burnley 2, Sheffield United 0.
McBurney was looking to become the third Sheffield United player to score in 3 successive Premier League appearances, emulating Brian Deane and Justine Flo. However, that red card means he will not be joining those two players in illustrious history and really spoiled the party for them. There's going to be a lot of thoughts going inside that man's head for the next few hours or maybe even the next few days. Triple change at Brentford then, and it comes to the away side, Luton, who are falling behind by 2 goals very early on, and this 3-man substitution for the Hatters and Rob Edwards looking to just maybe spur a little bit of inspiration into the side, a little bit of energy, Molly Sumter.
Yeah, I think this is Rob Edwards attempting to manage the game after Brentford's electric start to this second half. We've seen 3 changes from the Luton side, and Panzu comes off the pitch and is replaced by Jordan Clark. Ogbene, who has been one of the standout players for Luton so far in this game, has been replaced by Andros Townsend, somebody who we know will know how to manage the game, has got the experience and the years behind him. As well as this, Carlton Morris, their main man up top, has made way for Elijah Adebayo, and he's come on as his replacement. We'll see what these substitutions can do and see if they can impact the game at all for Luton. But it's imperative now that they make a change to the way they're playing. You do not want Brentford to run away with this more than they already have, especially with the spring in their step that they've developed from these opening 2 goals in the second half. 62 minutes gone. It's Brentford 2, Luton 0.
5 minutes added on time between RB Leipzig and Heidenheim. We've had about 4 minutes of that, Kane Wiz. Is there going to be an equaliser for the away team?
It's a massive opportunity for Heidenheim, and it's Traore on the right-hand side who picks the ball up and just then plays the ball into Sessa, who's playing up top. And it's just a give and go, and then Traore gets the ball back and just drives it off the post. And it's a really, really good save in the end by Blashwitz. Then Klosterman, who's the centre-half for Leipzig, gets the ball and just plays it in behind for Openda. And Openda, on the volley, hits one. It smashes off the bar. Massive opportunities for both sides to score. The referee's still playing in terms of added time here. But it's still RB Leipzig 2, Heidenheim.
Really going deep into that added time. We're in the 6th minute, the 5 minutes added on time. So you've got to feel like the referee will blow his whistle very soon. Around the rest of the Bundesliga, Bochum, they run out winners in the end against Wolfsburg 3-1. A big win for them. Mönchengladbach got a second goal against Hoffenheim to make it 2-1. All these games are still playing, so unless there's any last minute, well, there could be a last minute twist in the tail. We shall see. I will give you the full-time report shortly when they come in. And as Kane Weir described there, RB Leipzig still winning 2-1 against Heidenheim, but we're deep into injury time of all those games. At 6:30 at Stuttgart v Werder Bremen. Genoa and Empoli ended up being 1-1 after Empoli got a last-minute equaliser, so 1-1 there. At 6 o'clock, it's Lazio v Cagliari. That's at 6, and we've got Luke Charlton on that one for you. And at 8:45, it's AC Milan v Frosinone. In the Nigerian Premier League, or the NPFL, Doma United ended up running out winners against Niger 1-0 there. Aqua United and Kawara are currently all level, 1-1. It's Bendel and Lobby Stars who are all level as well, but there's yet to be any goals in that game, 0-0 between those two teams. And Yimba and Sunshine Stars is currently 1-0 to Yimba. So it's Yimba 1, Sunshine Stars 0. In the Saudi Pro League, both games are in the 60th minute between Al Qaoud and Al Efitak. It's 0-0 there, and Al Fatah and Al Ta'i is 0-0 as well. Yet to see any goals in the Saudi Pro League. Very, very upsetting that. Al Raid and Al Wahida is coming up at 7, along with Al Shabab and Al Tawan. That is at 7 as well. In the Spanish La Liga, Girona beat Valencia 1-0. That was a 2-1. Sorry, that was the early kickoff. And between Atletico Bilbao and Real Vallecano, the home side are winning 2-0 on the 53rd minute. So Atletico Bilbao 2, Real Vallecano 0. At 6:30, it's between Real Madrid and Granada, and we have got Mark Thomas covering that one for you. The team that are currently top of the La Liga is Real Madrid, and they're going to look to extend their advantage. And then it is Osasuna v Real Sociedad at 9 o'clock. In the in League 1 as well, Lens v Lyon have kicked off, and then Lyon are currently experiencing their manager bounce because they're winning 1-0 against Lens. A much needed win could be coming their way, but only 26 minutes have been played. And then between Nantes and Nice at 9 o'clock, that game there. Full time in the Bundesliga, Bochum ended up winning 3-1 against Wolfsburg. Borussia Mönchengladbach held on to beat Hoffenheim 2-1, and RB Leipzig beat Heidenheim 2-1. Kane Wiz, give us your full-time report.
Yeah, Leipzig and Heidenheim met for the first ever time in the Bundesliga today, and the game was an important one for the hosts, who started the game in 5th, 11 points behind leaders by Leverkusen. Obviously, for promoted Heidenheim, they sat in the game and defended the box really, really well, but couldn't retain the ball enough. And in transitions, RB Leipzig kept coming, and ultimately on the 28th minute were punished with a penalty for Openda scoring his 10th Bundesliga goal of the season. The pressure continued, and after that, Simikan's long ball into the right back of Rom, who delivered well. Poulsen nipped in just at the front post to turn the ball in and double Leipzig's lead. Moments then before half-time, the visitors had hope with Beste's corner flicked on at the near post for Gimba round the back, who prodded in to make it 2-1 going into half-time. Chances kept coming in the second half for Leipzig as the game opened up like a basketball game for the likes of Poulsen, Openda, Baumgart and Xavi Simons. But Heidenheim, although stayed resolute, continued to defend, and really though it didn't cause as many problems until the final 10 minutes of the half, where it really started to open up. But it's full time at a very cold and snowy Red Bull Arena. It's RB Leipzig 2, Heidenheim 1.
For Leipzig then, Kane, this win, could it signal a title charge, shall we say, or am I over-exaggerating? Am I getting a little bit too excited?
I think it relieves the pressure of Marco Rosa for the time being. Obviously starting the game, I think it was about 8 or maybe 9 points behind the leaders, Leverkusen. And I think it's staying in with the pack, obviously understanding there's only 12-13 games played so far this season. But I think the big games are going to come up when they play the likes of Bayern, Stuttgart, Leverkusen and Dortmund in there. But a massive 3 points for Marco Rosa, and I think just keep the media and keep the fans off his back just for that little bit longer.
Thank you very much, Kane Wears. Yes, it's a much needed win for Marco Rose, and it just alleviates the pressure a little bit for them. Leipzig 2, Heidenheim 1. Let's go to Arsenal now, where Wolves have made 2 changes. They look to just move the chessboard around a little bit, Jack Heston, and try and get a goal, but it really just seems very hopeless at this point, especially against a team like Arsenal.
Yeah, as I keep saying, it is going to be either a bit of magic or a bit of luck that gets him back into this game. But the 2 substitutions, they will feel positive about them. Matt Doherty coming on for Hugo Bueno and Bellegarde coming off. Paulo Sarabia, of course, the hero of the other week against Tottenham Hotspur in that dramatic 2-1 win, comes on, and they'll be looking for him to work a bit of magic that he did in that game. They're running out of time though, but still time to go. 63 minutes played. It's still Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
Substitutes all around the Premier League, and this one now comes from Brentford, who have looked to match Luton's 3 changes with one of their own.
Yeah, they've taken off Yarmiluk, who has been replaced by Shandon Baptiste of Granada. He played, I think, about 19 minutes in the game against Arsenal. Maybe just some fresh legs on the pitch for Brentford, who have done a lot of running so far in this game, pushing forward plenty. I think that just that bolster in midfield, maybe to feed forward to Vissa, Mope and Mbeumo to get that third and sealing the goal, sealing the tie really for Brentford if they can get that third goal. Just some fresh legs. So as it stands, we've got 69 minutes gone. It's Brentford 2, Luton 0.
And made that the 3rd sub in a row here on Football Live amongst our Premier League games, because Burnley have decided to join the party and make a substitution and make a change of their own.
Yeah, it's Larson's come up and Goodmanson's come on. And also, just before you came into it, Vinito had a run for Burnley on the right-hand side. He cut inside on left-hand foot, on his left foot, took a shot, just went wide. And to make matters worse, William Osola, who came on as a sub, got himself booked for Sheffield. It's all going wrong with Sheffield United. But what can you say? With 69 gone, still Burnley 2, Sheffield United 0.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Introducing NairaBet's new feature, ShareBet. Celebrate victories, showcase your skills, and join the NairaBet community today. Ever wished you could share the excitement of your bets with friends and fellow enthusiasts effortlessly? Well, now your betting experience can be shared with just a click, making every moment unforgettable. How to share your bet. Step 1, place your bets at nairabet.com. Step 2, go to the My Bet section. Step 3, select the drop-down on your bet slip. Step 4, select Share Bet to copy your bet. Your bet is now ready to be shared with the world. Must be 18 plus to place a bet. General terms and conditions apply.
You are listening
You are listening
to Football Live.
to Football Live
To Football Live.
on Brila FM.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
tomorrow afternoon on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM. Manchester City are at home to Tottenham Hotspur. Chelsea look to bounce back from defeat at Newcastle with a home match against Brighton and Hove Albion. Liverpool entertain Fulham at Anfield. There's a London derby as West Ham United take on Crystal Palace. And in Germany, the leaders and record breakers Bayer Leverkusen are up against Borussia Dortmund. Plenty of top football action to get stuck into tomorrow afternoon on Football Live. Be sure to join Dean Kilford from 3 o'clock West African time as we chase down those big goals in the big games exclusively on Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
And with that outbreak comes a third goal for Burnley.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's been a comfortable evening in Turf Moor, maybe not one that most fans around the Premier League did expect, but it's turned out to be that way as they have got their third of the afternoon. And we asked a question at the start of the game when Burnley went 1-0 up, whether that early goal would set the tone or it would lead Burnley into a full sense of security, and Sheffield United were able to attack, but it really has snowballed and gone from bad for worse for the Blades. And they've really just got no bark to their bite. McBurney sent off, loads of yellow cards after that second for Larson, and they now find themselves in the perilous position of being 3 goals down with about 17 minutes to go. So that's going to probably be some of the longest 17 minutes of their lives for the Sheffield United players. So Burnley, it's going to be absolutely incredible. We do have another goal in the Premier League.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
All games are really done and dusted, and we just needed one of the away teams who were chasing the game and had that 2-goal deficit just to get a goal, just to spice things up a little bit, just to change the layout, the picture that we see right now on Football Live. And Luton have done exactly that. They've got themselves a goal. It's now Brentford 2, Luton 1. And we just see a fight with this Luton team, don't they? No matter how many times they go behind, no matter how many times they take punches and fall to the floor, they always seem to find a way back into these games. They always seem to bounce back, and they have got their goal. Brentford 2, Luton 1, and that makes things very interesting with 14 minutes to go in northwest London. Further up the north, though, and in Lancashire, where Burnley are playing Sheffield United, we have another goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's Burnley who are blowing away Sheffield United. Burnley 4, Sheffield United 0. We spoke about this. It's Colosio with the goal. We spoke about this attacking style of play for Burnley all season. And kind of asking, where is it? Because last season we saw Burnley blowing these teams away in the Championship, like Sheffield United, who came up with the Clarets last year. And right now, we see the exact same carbon copy of last year's results. Burnley 4, Sheffield United 0. Finally seeing Vincent Kompany's attacking style of play against a team who maybe are of a similar level to them. And we're seeing what it can do. We're seeing the Vincent Kompany way of football and how brilliant and punishing it can be. Burnley 4, Sheffield United 0. The fans of Turf Moor are going to be very, very happy, aren't they, Patrick Norret?
Game over, to be honest. And I think there's 2 goals to tell you about. The actual third goal was an amazing one by effort by Zakid Adouni in the box. He got a hold of it, striked it, 3-0, wonderful. And then 2-3 minutes later, it was Zaki Andori. Again, an easy ball again in the box. Finally from the penalty area, actually Andori passed it to Luca Kosciuszko, and he basically collected it and just slotted it past the keeper. With 75 gone, game over, Burnley 4, Sheffield United 0.
Molly Sumter, tell us about the goal which gives Luton hope.
Yeah, Luton have huffed and puffed to the last kind of 10 minutes of this half, and it's Jacob Brown who's picked up the ball. Brentford have switched off for a moment. He's danced past their defence, and it's a beautiful strike from just outside the box with his left foot, with its incredible pace and power into the bottom left-hand corner. Minimal celebrations from the Luton players. They know they've still got work to do, but it's definitely the lift they needed, and maybe a kick for Brentford to remind them that Luton can keep fighting. It's 76 minutes on the clock. Brentford 2, Luton 1.
Hope for Luton, but is there any hope for Wolves, Jack Hessam?
Yeah, Arsenal looking comfortable here. Wolves getting a bit more of the ball, but not doing much with it at all at the moment. So we're coming into the last 20 minutes. Arsenal looking comfortable. They did make a substitution. Gabriel Jesus, of course, just returning from an injury. He did look a bit slow to start the game and couldn't really get into the game without. He's replaced by Eddie Nketiah, and Wolves, as I mentioned, just trying to push forward, get any kind of spell on the ball that they can. Arsenal looking comfortable here to try and see this out. 72 minutes on the clock. It's Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
Got to say, that performance by Gabriel Jesus has to be a surprise. He has scored 6 goals in his last 6 Premier League games, in his last Premier League starts against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Let's just quickly talk, Jack, about this Eddie Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus debate, shall we? Because Eddie Nketiah filled in for Jesus. Sometimes they can play next to each other. If you were to go in terms of out-and-out striker, who would you start in front of each other?
I think you would naturally always have to go at the moment with Gabriel Jesus. Eddie Nketiah is obviously a young player. He's still coming into his game. It suits him perhaps a bit more having the odd game rather than being consistently the main man that they rely on up front, whereas Jesus, a more experienced player, is more fitted to that. Alongside the way that Arsenal play, Jesus is a better player to come in the middle in the sort of false 9 role and take part in the midfield, but it's a great option to have when Gabriel Jesus isn't really firing on all cylinders, to be able to bring on a very good quality player for his age in Eddie Nketiah.
Eddie Nketiah is certainly growing. There were questions, weren't there, Jack, about Nketiah, but this season he's really grown into his role, really grown as a player, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He was thrown into, obviously, with Gabriel Jesus' injury last season, but you can see the makings of what looks like a really great number 14 for Arsenal going forward. Again, a young player coming through the system, something that the Arsenal fans will really want to see and be happy to see as well, and I think the only way is up for him.
Only way is up. Gabriel Jesus, no goal for him today. It looks like Luton's brief party is over because Brentford have got a third.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Great way to respond for Thomas Frank's men after seeing that Luton goal, which maybe asked the questions and meant that Luton could be able to ask the questions of Brentford going into these final 10 minutes. But that third goal really does stop it there and turns the question mark into a full stop, because Brentford should be well on their way to 3 points. It's Brentford 3, Luton 1, 9 minutes to go there. And 3 points will be staying in northwest London. Right now, Burnley, Sheffield United, they're winning 4-0, Patrick Nara, and they've decided to bring off or on Nathan Redmond. I'm a little bit confused in my ear right now. Actually, Pat, before I come to, I have to say, we might have to say, because it has been a 5th goal for Burnley.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
5 goals for Burnley. It's Burnley 5, Sheffield United 0, and what a result this is. I'm really not too sure that any fan or player or anyone across the Premier League would be able to have seen this result coming when you have 2 teams at the bottom of the Premier League with only 2 wins between them this season. I don't think anyone really saw that result coming. But for Burnley, they've turned up to this game, and it's Brownhill that's got on the result and got on the score sheet. They've turned up to this game. They really did not allow Sheffield United into it at any point with that early goal, and they've controlled it from start to finish. It's a really impressive performance, and it's the type of performance which will probably make the rest of the league sit up and look, because if they can just string these results together, take a little bit of strut from this and put it into those performances against the bigger and better teams, Patrick Narrett, they really might be able to do something this season, Burnley, and maybe this result could see the turnaround of Vincent Kompany's Premier League campaign?
Yeah, I think so. They're playing with confidence and they're moving the ball about. This was a nice move, They passed it and passed it. And it was Josh Brownhill who got a rebound. It was a shot, and he got the rebound and scored. And then with what are we now? With 81 gone, it's Burnley 5, Sheffield United nil. Now, before we were about to come over to me, of course, Nathan Redmond come on, Birmingham, Norwich City, Southampton, discuss, and now Burnley, he's now 29, making an appearance. So with 81 gone, still Burnley 5, Sheffield United nil.
Do you think that this 5-0 win for Burnley, do you think it says more about how good they are or how poor Sheffield United have been, Pat?
No, Burnley have been good. I think that first goal caught them out because normally Burnley, when they kick off, they play the ball back, play in the back four, get it to the keeper, move it forward. But they didn't do that in that time. He went back and the left back went forward, a long ball, got beyond the back four and crossed it. And within a minute, they got a goal. So I don't think that Sheffield United were ready for it. They just got caught out. And I think, no, it's showing how good they are. They haven't changed the way they play. They play the same way. And he believes if you have the ball, the other team can't score. But when they get the ball, you've got to make sure they don't score. So at the moment, I mean, they deserved it. Okay, going down to 10 men, they were just basically passing that ball around. Sheffield United find it difficult to get close to them. That's why they were committing the fouls, hence the booking and then the sending off. So I think it's a good win. It's a more of a confidence win, I think. But the way they play, they're not going to change. So I think that's the way forward. So with 82 gone, still Burnley 5, Sheffield United 0.
To Molly Sumpter now to tell us about the goal, which keeps a 3 points in the GTEC Community Stadium and with Brentford.
Yeah, it's the substitute Shandon Baptiste who's just coming back from injury that's showing why he should be on that pitch. It's him who takes the initial shot. It rebounds back out. It's a ping pong in that Luton box again. It's a scramble of a defence and it's an absolute shambles from all of them. As he's there just to pick up another rebounded shot and slot it past the Luton keeper, who really has kept them in this game today from keeping it from going embarrassing for Luton. You would have thought they'd have just had that pick up from the goal that they scored. It looked like they were going to get themselves back there, but Brentford have shut that down instantly with that fantastically worked goal from Baptiste. It's now Brentford 3, Luton 1.
And now to the Emirates Stadium, where they've just made a couple of substitutions. Martinelli off for Havertz, but Tomiyasu is down on the field. And it's Ben White coming on. Does that look like a concerning injury for the Japanese right back?
Initially, it did look like it was potentially concerning. He was down on the ground for a number of minutes receiving treatment. Ben White, Arteta was quick to get Ben White up off the bench to get Tomiyasu off the park. But then Tomiyasu managed to get back up on his feet. He looked like he was walking normally, so perhaps just a precaution for Arteta. Certainly Arsenal fans will be hoping so, as we mentioned before. Injuries really was potentially the undoing last year, and they need to try and keep players as fit as possible if they want to maintain a title challenge. So Tomiyasu came off. Ben White, who is a decent option at right back to replace him, coming on. And as you mentioned, Kai Havertz coming on. Gabriel Martinelli receiving a rest now. He comes off in his place. 79 minutes on the clock. It's still Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
Coming up at 5:30 then is Nottingham Forest v Everton, and we will be having Tom on that one. But for now, though, these are the lineups and the team news for both sides. So we'll start with Nottingham Forest. It's starting in goal for Nottingham Forest. Now, this I've got to say, this is this has got to be a little bit of a mouthful to pronounce for Nottingham Forest, but it is Vlachodimos starting in goal for Nottingham Forest. Then coming up at both the fullbacks, Aurier and Toffolo. Then lining up as both the centre-backs is Willy Bowley and Murillo. Then as for your midfielders, are going with a 3 midfielders, a 4-3-3 for Steve Cooper's men today. It's Sangare, Mangala, Annie Yates lining up as the midfield. And then it's Gibb, Whites, Wood and Alanga as your front 3. Then for Everton, it's Jordan Pickford starting in goal. Ash Young and Mikolenko are your 2 fullbacks with Braithwaite and Tarkowski lining up. That's a familiar back four for Everton, unchanged from last week's defeat against Man United. It's then Harrison, Garner, Guehi and McNeil lining up with a deep-looking back four with Decore almost starting as a centre-forward / cam in behind Better. That is your 2 team news for today, and as I said, that game is coming up at 5:30 with Tom. For now, let's go back to Jack Hesson, talk about Arsenal and their win currently against Wolves. 9 minutes to go here, despite any awful failing, shall we say, for Mikel Arteta's men. It's been a really comfortable day out for them, hasn't it, today, Jack Esson?
Yeah, it has been a really comfortable game for them. As I mentioned, they were really explosive and attacking in that opening 15 to 20 minutes. And from then on, they've been able to settle things down a little bit. They've been in control of the ball. Wolves have had possession in spells, but they've not really been able to make any proper clear-cut chances to threaten Arsenal's lead. They're looking in cruise control to get away with this. A couple of minutes ago there, great chance from Saka, trademark on the edge of the area, curling shot, looked destined for the top right-hand corner, a beautiful shot, and it just went inches wide. So Arsenal knocking on the door for a potential third, but they're looking really comfortable for that 2-0 win. 81 minutes on the clock. It's still Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
For Arsenal, as we look forward then Jack, into their sort of next few games, I mean, they've always win in December. They've got a fantastic record in September. We'll look forward to this year. They've got a few tough games coming up, really, haven't they? Let's be honest. The next three, they're coming up as Aston Villa, Brighton, and Liverpool. That's really, and we've got Luton in between at the start to start that all off as well, with PSV sandwiched in between. But December's going to be kind of a judgment month for them, let's say.
Yeah, I think it's a judgment month for quite a lot of teams. It's a month where is an intense amount of fixtures. Some teams crumble under that pressure, and other teams are able to thrive. As you mentioned, the next game is Luton away. It may seem like that's a place where they'll go and pick up an easy 3 points, but Liverpool probably thought that as well before they ended up trying to scrape a draw in the final seconds of the game. Aston Villa and how well they've done also. So it's going to be a difficult spell for them, but I think they can get through it with the quality they've got.
Luton will just not lie down because they're back in the game against Brentford.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
I think someone forgot to tell Luton the game was over because they definitely did not, and they definitely didn't hear it because they're back in it. Brentford 3, Luton 2. That gives them, depending on how many minutes added on time there are going to be at the GTEC Community Stadium, that will give them just a few minutes to maybe find something in this game and get a draw, which they probably don't deserve. But they've stayed in this game. And wait, no, let's stop right there because VAR has ruled it out. VAR has intervened. The goal no longer stands. And we are back to where we stood just a few short moments ago. It's Brentford 3, Luton 1. And that's going to be heartbreak for any Hatters fans. And they hope they had of maybe getting just something from it. There was 8 minutes added on time as well. So they definitely had the time to chase a draw. But for now, unless they're to respond even quicker and respond quickly and ASAP and get a goal now, you feel like Brentford will be keeping those 3 points. But for a brief second, Molly Sumter, there was just a little bit. For a brief second, there was a little bit of hearts in mouth moments for Brentford.
Yeah, definitely. It is Tahith Chong who's got the goal, and then it has been disallowed for offside. You have to give credit to this Luton team. They've really, really pushed right up until these last moments of the game, and you have to feel for them in a way. It is quite a tight offside. Chong is disagreeing here, but it is most definitely, he is offside. The linesman has got that one right. But you have to feel for them. It's a great header. He's found himself in a great position and nodded it into the top, in the roof of the Brentford net. But unfortunately, it is offside. So it stays Brentford 3, Luton 1.
We asked for drama, and it's come knocking in the Premier League.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Because Wolves, for Mateus Cunha, back in the game at the Emirates. Arsenal have controlled it from start to finish with their 2 goals early on, but they haven't been able to build from it. They haven't been able to capitalise on that 2-goal early advantage. They feel like they kind of just settled into a rhythm, and maybe they've been punished for that here, Jack Esson, because it is Arsenal 2, Wolves 1, and now Wolves just have a brief opportunity to get themselves back into this game. There's 4 minutes left of your normal time to play. However, Jack, depending on how many added times, Wolves, they're in this game now.
Yeah, it's quite possibly game on here. Arsenal just looking sloppy at the back. They couldn't get the ball away. Declan Rice played a really dangerous ball to Zinchenko. Zinchenko takes a poor touch on the edge of the area, and the ball just falls to Cunha just inside the box. And it's a lovely left-footed curling effort to beat Raya in the top right-hand corner. That's the kind of quality that players like Cunha is able to give you when he gets a half chance on goal, and he has shown that there. Wolves are back in this game. There's potentially going to be quite a bit of added time as well, so this game is now far from over. 4 minutes to go in regular time, and it is now Arsenal 2, Wolves 1.
This is going to show the type of team that Arsenal are. A few games last season, they succumbed their advantages and ended up drawing or losing games. This is really going to show if Arsenal are matured and grown within this season, isn't it, Jack?
That is exactly, I felt like I just got deja vu there watching this at the moment, because that's exactly what, at the moment, it feels like those games late on last season where they gave away 2-goal advantages, most notably, of course, the one against Liverpool at Anfield, and they've really got to show discipline in the late stages of the game, because they had this game comfortably in their grasp. And now if Wolves get another chance on goal, another bit spell of possession, it could change things dramatically, not just in this game, but in the title race as well.
What's the mood inside the Emirates right now? Is it one of getting behind their team, trying to cheer them on and trying to energise them into the last few minutes, or is it one of nerves?
Yeah, it's absolutely nervousness at the moment. Again, that feeling of deja vu that they conceded 2 goals, or they conceded 2-goal leads last season and came back, and it feels like this could potentially happen again for them. Yeah, anything could happen in the remaining moments or minutes of this game, and I suspect, we don't know yet, but there's going to be a lot of added time.
Only 4 minutes added time at Burnley, Patrick Naret. I mean, if you take a minute for each goal, they've definitely underestimated, maybe. Do you think it's a case of the referees taking a little bit of pity on Sheffield United in their current situation?
Probably. No, there wasn't many. There was a lot of fouls, but not many injury time. I think 4 minutes is about right. They're into the third minute now. Well, the second minute now. Still Burnley. Well, Sheffield United, the game was done on the third goal, or third goal, I think. They're just not doing anything. Damage limitation, they couldn't do that. So it's still, we're 92 gone now. We're about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes to play. Still Burnley 5, Sheffield United 0. Incidentally, just one thing. Last year in the Championship, Sheffield United did beat them 5-2. So I suppose they're getting revenge.
A little bit of revenge. There we go. Revenge is a dish best served cold, isn't it, Patrick?
I know about that, yeah.
That's what they say. Back to Arsenal now, because they got wounded with that Wolves goal, but they've come out fighting. They're definitely not resting on their laurels. They're taking the game to Gary O'Neill's men, and they've just hit the post there, Jack Esson.
Yeah, it's been a good reaction from Arsenal. They really look like they're determined to try and seal the deal, and they really potentially should have there. Martin Odegaard running and forward, so much space in the midfield because there's so many Wolves players forward. Now his pass is perfect. The run from Nketiah is perfect to break the Wolves back line. Nketiah bearing down on goal, tries to drill it into the bottom right hand corner, and it just hits the post. So Arsenal close to sealing the deal here, and there is a real determination with Arsenal at the moment to try and do so. 89 minutes on the clock. It's still Arsenal 2, Wolves 1.
Have Arsenal shown this attacking desire throughout the whole of this second half, or would you say maybe they could be accused of resting on their laurels and maybe not pursuing this game with the same intent they did after their first 2 goals within 10 minutes?
Yeah, I think you can't really blame them for feeling an air of complacency about the way that they were playing. It did feel like that. They took their foot off the gas, of course, and it's, at the moment they're showing a lot more attacking potence than they have in most of the second half, but really they've got to watch as well that they don't end up slipping up again at the back.
It's full time at Sheffield United and Burnley 5-0. We'll be Patrick Norwich shortly. We're going to Brentford Luton because it's now 3-1 to Brentford again after that Luton equaliser, Molly Sumpter. Have they, after that goal, do they sort of give up Luton, or are they still somehow fighting with delusion?
Well, I think, to be honest, it's been all Brentford and since that third goal. They've really just, it's given them that final boost they needed to get through these final moments of the game. Luton really not gotten out of their half again like they were in the opening 45 minutes of the game. Brentford really just getting a few shots away, nothing really clear cut for them, but it is game management. We're coming into literally the final 30 seconds of the game, and it is still Brentford 3, Luton 1.
There is 6 minutes added on at Arsenal. That's 6 minutes for the Michael Arteta's men just to hold on desperately. Will they do it, Jack Esson? What do you think?
Well, there was a chance there, almost Sarabia playing in Semedo. Semedo advancing towards the box. He tried to get it across, but an Arsenal man was there. He just threw himself in front of it to block the cross from getting to Mateus Cunha. So a great chance from Wolves there. When they get possession, they're really trying to be patient with it, with the time that they've got left to break down the Arsenal back line, a bit like how they did for the goal. There's still plenty of time for them. 91 minutes on the clock, 6 minutes of added time. It's still Arsenal 2, Wolves 1.
These next 4 minutes really are the stuff of champions, isn't it? These are the type of results where you kind of look and go, okay, that's why Arsenal won the Premier League this season, or that's why they failed yet again.
Yep, and as you mentioned, it was those kind of slip-ups last season that cost them the league title, and it would be those kind of slip-ups this season that would cost them it potentially should they go all the way. But at the moment, it's still early days, and they're still looking like they're going to see it out. But again, a bit of magic, a bit of luck, a defensive error from Arsenal could easily bring Wolves a second goal. They are bringing on a couple of substitutions as well, so we're just waiting for those to be confirmed. So that's another, we've had the stoppage for about a minute, so you can add an extra minute on to the 6 minutes we've got. This game is not over yet.
This is incredibly tense, isn't it, for Arsenal? They need to win this game. This could be the result which decides whether they're Premier League champions come the end of the year. Absolutely intense, heart in mouths moment for everyone listening, for every Arsenal fan right now. Will they hold on? We're going to go briefly to Molly Sumter, talk about the Brentford win over Luton, which has seen them claim a desperately needed 3 points, Molly.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a win that, like you said, Josh, they definitely needed after 2 losses on the bounce. They did come close, Luton, pushing, getting that first and second goal to bring it back to 2-1 and then 3-2. It could have been a really interesting game, except for that, obviously, that second goal for Luton being disallowed. It was a tight one, but it was indeed offside. You have to give them credit, though. They defended where they needed to. 27 goal attempts, 6 being on goal for Brentford, 7 attempts for Luton, just 1 shot on target for them. So you can see that Luton were more clinical with their finishing, but Brentford obviously having the majority of the chances throughout the game. They did dictate the play, they played well. Their defence at times switched off and allowed Luton into that game more than they would possibly want them to be. But at the end of the day, I think Brentford definitely gave up the better performance. The better team did win. Things to think about for Thomas Frank, though, definitely coming away from that game, and Luton definitely some positives to take away even from a loss. But it's ended here. Brentford 3, Luton 1.
Jack Hesson, where Arsenal have made some substitutions, which means they're going defensive. They're looking to seal these 3 points by sitting low and defending.
Yeah, it's really clear from those substitutions exactly what Arteta's trying to do with the remaining moments of the game. Martin Odegaard and Bukayo Saka, they're 2 real most attacking threats going forward off, and Jorginho, a more defensive midfielder. Jacob Kiwior is a centre half, so really it tells you all you need to know about how Arsenal are trying to see out this game. There's 94 minutes of the clock, 6 minutes added time. I suspect a couple of minutes more because of that break for substitutions. It's still Arsenal 2, Wolves 1.
Do we think there's going to be a few more minutes added on time here, Jack?
Potentially, just because of those stoppages. It really becomes down to the referee, how strict he is on the time that's added on later on. So we will await and see if that's the case, but I suspect with the stoppages we've had, it has been a decent couple of minutes, that there might be some added time added on to the added time.
Do Wolves look up for this here? Do Wolves look like a team that are desperately trying to go for these 3 points?
Yeah, they're just trying to get a bit of a rhythm going in the remaining seconds of the game. There's not a lot of time left, and really it's going to get to the kitchen sink territory where they're just hoofing balls up the park and hoping that an Arsenal mistake happens. You can never write off that potentially being the case. Just a minute left of regular time, of added time even, and it's still Arsenal 2, Wolves 1.
Seems as Arsenal are going to get this win, these 3 points, which really should have been sewn up way before they have right now. Of those 2 goals through Saka and Odegaard, Saka now being involved in scoring and assisting in at least 10 Premier League games in this season, joining Salah as the only player to do that so far in 2023-2024. But the fact of the matter is, Arsenal, if they were to lose this game, somehow there would really need to be an inquest into this performance, because They were 2-0 up. They raced into a lead and maybe just sat on their laurels, maybe got a little bit too comfortable. You can't blame them because Wolves haven't been in this game whatsoever, but just one goal from Matheus Cunha has painted this game in a completely different light, Jack Hesson. As we go into the 97th minute, is it desperation for Wolves?
It is, but Arsenal are keeping the ball well at the moment to try and stop Wolves pushing any kind of attack. It is getting to that kitchen sink time now, and Arsenal just need to try and stay composed to stay to keep this lead going. They never thought they'd be in this situation after 15 minutes where they were 2-0 up, but they are now, and they have to try and see it out. They've got the defensive numbers on, and there must be seconds left. We're now into 30 seconds past the 96 minutes. There can't be much time left for Wolves to salvage this.
Can't be, but they'll try. Are we seeing now this incredible Arteta possession-based football where they're able to suffocate the opposition and frustrate them, keeping the ball away from them? Are we seeing why right now? How good they are at it?
Yes, we are. They've looked composed since that goal. The goal itself was a bit of a mistake. Zinchenko giving the ball away, a mix-up at the back, just led for a half chance. Really, the first chance Wolves have had to end the game by Matheus Cunha. Arsenal is safe in possession at the moment, just trying to keep a hold of the win that they've got. And if they can, then I think now it's a really good victory, should they see that, to go 4 points clear as well.
98 minutes here at the Emirates, and still we go on. Wolves currently in possession. Are Arsenal going to crumble, or will they do it? And I can say it is full time. Arsenal have won by the skin of their teeth in a game which we thought they would run out winners comfortably. It ended up being a lot tighter and a lot scarier than it needed to be in those last couple of minutes. But they've got the 3 points. They've done it. It's Arsenal 2, Wolves 1. And on that full-time whistle, let's go to FJ and the team in Nigeria.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Football Live, where we're heading past our 3 o'clock games and into our 5 o'clock games. 3 o'clock games did not disappoint, though. We had wins for Brentford 3-1 over Luton. We had wins for Burnley, trouncing Sheffield United 5-0. It was an absolutely incredible day to be a Burnley fan. Their second win of the season. And what a way to do it, Patrick Norris.
Yeah, it was. Finish Burnley 5, Sheffield United 0. Burnley started pretty quickly. In the first minute, they got a goal through Rodriguez. A cross from Taylor on the left-hand side. Rodriguez header, wonderful header, a bottom left corner, 1-0 to Burnley. And then it was all Burnley with possession. Sheffield United wasn't doing much. On the 29th minute, Burnley found themselves on the edge of the box, and O'Shea, basically a nice pass to Larson. He then made it 2-0. It got worse for Burnley got worse for Sheffield United, I should say, on the 45th minute, 45. McBurney for an elbow, second yellow card, got himself sent off. So then they were down to 10 men. The second half, quite a fair. They started off with nothing happening until the 73 minute when Abdouni scored with a wonderful pass from Bayer. Bottom left-hand corner. It seemed to like left-hand corner. 2 minutes later, another goal, 4-0 for Shonsko. A pass from Abdouni this time made it 4-0. Then but Sheffield United tried to get back into it, but couldn't help themselves, didn't do it themselves any justice. On the 80th minute, it was 5-0. Brian Hill, a long shot, a wonderful shot. So, in the end, it finished Burnley 5, Sheffield United 0.
The result, which I think you're all driving me to say, is the Arsenal win as they beat Wolves 2-1. It was a game which really should have been a lot closer. Shouldn't have been as close as it was, shall I say, because Arsenal raced into a 2-goal advantage. The first time they've scored a goal inside the opening 15 minutes of a Premier League game this season. And they got 2 for the price of 1, with Saka and Odegaard finding themselves on the score sheet. It got a little bit closer, though, didn't it, Jack Hesson? Because in the end, Wolves, they got a goal back from Matheus Cunha. They ran Arsenal right to the end, but they got the 3 points. And the fans were walking outside the Emirates very happy this evening. Okay, we're not going to go to Jack Hesson right now. We are going to go to Io first then. Then we're going to go to Io, who is our resident betting expert. Oh, how are you? Io, are you there? Can we hear us or have we lost you? Io, how are you? There we go. There we go. Yes, I'm very good, thank you. What can you give us today? Because it's Nottingham Forest to Everton. I wouldn't say it's the most, incredible 5:30 Saturday night football, is it? But I'm sure when we delve into the odds, it could be a very interesting game.
Not the most glamorous game, as you said. Nottingham Forest with Naira bet at 2.80. Everton are surprisingly favourites at 2.70 to win the game. I'm surprised about that, and the draw is at 3.20. I know we've probably only got 1 minute left, right?
We've got a couple of minutes, though. We've got a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So Nottingham Forest are 2.80, but I think both teams to score, which is 2.00, is my bet of the game. Nottingham Forest have always conceded goals and scored goals in the last few games. Everton have scored goals recently, except against United. They were very good against United, but of course, Onana was in great form that day, and he stopped them from scoring that 20-25 minute spell in the first half when they played very well and missed chances. But I think they will score today. Both teams to score at 2.00 is my bet for that game. It's not the biggest price, but it's the safe option for me.
That's anything else you like? Anything else that you might have over for us? Anything else that you can maybe?
Yes, on Man United and Newcastle. I mean, everyone expects Newcastle to win the game. Newcastle they've won the last two meetings, 3-0, 2-0 at St. James's Park, and they are rightfully favourites at 3.02. But Man United are a huge 3.50 to win the game. I think Man United will win this game. Everyone might think I'm wearing my red tinted glasses, but I think United will win. United to win 3.50, both teams to score 1.57. When you combine that, you're getting yourself a good price for Man United to win. If United win 2-1.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Joe. Pleasure as always. Those are his tips. And that's where, if you want to trust Joe's word, where you should put in your money this evening. Thank you very much, Joe. Have a lovely evening.
You too.
Right, there we go. Let's get into some football action, shall we? And let's go quickly, before we get a half-time report, a full-time report from Jack Hesson. Let's go to Luke Charlton, who's watching over Lazio over Cagliari. And it is 1-0 to Lazio, scored when we were on our break. And Cagliari have just had a red card, Luke Charlton.
Yes, good evening, Football Live listeners, and good evening to you too, Josh. It's been a dramatic opening exchanges here. Yes, as you say, a red card has just been given to Cagliari. They've had Antoine Makumbu has been sent off. It was initially given as a yellow card for a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, but considered a bit too far away from the penalty area by the referee. So initially a yellow card. It was a pull on the shirt of Matteo Guendouzi, who was running through on goal. But a VAR review was given, and it's been upgraded to a red card. So Cagliari find themselves down to 10 men, as well as a goal behind. Speaking of that goal, came very early on in the 8th minute of the match. It was a substitute, a change that had been made. Felipe Anderson taken out the starting lineup and replaced by Pedro. It's a very rare occurrence for Anderson to not be in the side, but it seems like a masterstroke by Maurizio Sarri here today, because Pedro was on the score sheet and opened the scoring with aplomb. It was a brilliantly taken goal. Well worked by Lazzari on the right-hand side, who hassled the Cagliari defender, managed to nick the ball in the penalty area and lay it off to Pedro to give Lazio a 1-0 lead. But as we approach now the 29th minute, Lazio fully in control. It's 1-0 to them, so it's Lazio 1, Cagliari 0.
Luke, Lazio currently have their worst start to the season for a decade, picking up 17 points from their first 13. They sit 11th in the table, well adrift at the top four after such successes last season, where they had the best defence in all of Europe besides Barcelona. But a really disappointing campaign for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been very much a slow start for them, but I think this game in particular, you can tell the crowd are a lot more behind the team at the moment. They're really enjoying the impetus and the energy with which they're attacking with so far in this match, and I think that really shows the team clearly up for the fight. They had a very promising victory over Celtic in the midweek in the Champions League, and hopefully they can use these next fixtures now to build on a start that, as you say, has been one of their slowest historically. I think this is their worst start to a campaign in almost 10 years. So, but hopefully with the result here today, which I think is looking more likely now, with 11 against 10, they can push on and really kind of make their start up the table.
Hopefully, if they get this win today against Claudio Ranieri, who was the Leicester manager that won the Premier League for them. He managed Cagliari. So let's see what they can do. Let's see what they can do today. Now, let's go to, where should we go? We've got such options because we've got a Premier League game between Nottingham Forest and Everton, which has just kicked off, as well as the game between Real Madrid and Granada in the Liga. So they're both a couple of games we're going to have to keep our eye on. We have got reporters. We've got Tom at the City Ground for Nottingham Forest for Everton. So let's start there then, shall we, Tom? As for this game, well, Everton, this is a statistic I absolutely love because Everton coming in after last season's struggles, they've really built under Sean Dyche. I think a lot of people weren't expecting them to be as successful as they were this season and getting them the results they did. And actually, they haven't lost a league or cup game outside of Liverpool opening weekend, winning each of their past 4 such fixtures. Their only away loss came in August against neighbours Liverpool on October 21st, which is absolutely incredible. And as for Forest, could be argued they're underachieving under Steve Cooper. They lost to Brighton. Actually, it was their first defeat at home since April. So they're incredible at home, maybe underachieving slightly. We can discuss this throughout the evening, but how has the opening 3 minutes gone here, Tom?
Hi, Josh. Welcome to a cold one here in Nottingham. As you mentioned, this game, it takes on an interesting complexion with the recent changes with regards to Everton's points total. They have been very competitive this season. And, but for that deduction, they would have gone into this game above Nottingham Forest tonight. But as it happens, bottom of the table, and they need to start picking up points soon. As for Nottingham Forest, they sit 15th for now. They won't be too worried at this stage, but 1 win in 9 and back-to-back defeats. The fans will be anxious for 3 points tonight. The first couple of minutes, you'd have to say it's Everton who've settled the better, knocking the ball around nicely. It's always a tasty atmosphere here at the City Ground, and especially on a Saturday night under the lights. It looks like it's going to be a good one. The last game in the last fixture here finished 2-2, so hoping for more of the same tonight.
What do you think of this game and these two teams? I will start on Nottingham Forest and the fact that potentially, would you say they're underachieving here in the Premier League? They've spent a lot of money, haven't they? They've got an incredible squad. They're only 15th in the Premier League. They're 15th, 3 wins, 4 draws and 6 losses. What your take on Steve Cooper? Do you think he's running out of time? Do you think he should be doing a lot better than he is?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, there's always the possibility of suffering a bit of second season syndrome for the sides that come up. I think Steve Cooper's done a brilliant job so far, and I think at this stage, I can understand Nottingham Forest fans wanting a little bit more. It's natural to want to kick on, but they survived last season with a few games to spare. It was by no means emphatic. A lot of new players have come in last season. Obviously not the same this year, and it absolutely couldn't be. There comes a point where you need to start working with the group. You have a good set of players, as you mentioned. There've been a couple of injuries. Awonyi is certainly a miss, a player that the Nigerian international that knows how to find the back of the net. They've been missing him for the past few weeks, and he's still no sign of him today. I think for Nottingham Forest, certainly the sides below them haven't started too well, have they? The promoted sides that have come up this year have started quite slow, and that's given them a little bit of a buffer. So a few disappointing results early on has probably not seen them dragged into it as much as it might have done in previous seasons. I wouldn't panic just yet. I think there's plenty of time to kick on, and the football I've seen them play on a few occasions, I think the time will come where they start to pick up some points.
I feel that's a really key point you've picked up on there. I think this Premier League season, Luton, Sheffield United and Burnley, I think the quality of those two teams compared to the rest around them vast. And I think that teams like Everton, take their points deduction aside, they've played some really nice football and they should be okay this season. But teams like Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Fulham, Palace, Wolves, who might be in danger next season or last season with the quality they're playing, but because the teams below them are really not at that level, they've kind of been given a little bit of a free pass this year, in a sense. Would you agree?
Well, it's certainly given them time to find their feet, hasn't it? Because I think pressure can start to build for any side once you get a few bad results. And you have to say, with the start that perhaps Bournemouth have had, and certainly Everton now, in light of that deduction, that would be, in some Premier League seasons, that would be piling on the pressure as they sit in the relegation zone, looking at the teams that are looking up. As it happens, those promoted sides, they have struggled. I think Sheffield United, personally for me, look a little bit undercooked. However, Burnley, big win today, and Luton with their contrasting style in the Premier League, I guess it works both ways, because they'll be looking at a slow start that has not seen them cut adrift. So every Premier League season throws up something different. In terms of that relegation picture, yes, some of these sides down there at the bottom that in previous seasons might have been in trouble have got a bit of breathing space, but they will need to start picking up points, because we can talk about the quality of the sides coming up. You would expect that as we get after Christmas and these sides start to get a bit more comfortable, maybe even a few additions in January, they will start to pick up points, and we will get that relegation battle that we're used to having.
Let's see if your prediction comes true, Tom. Thank you very much for that. We'll be back with you shortly as the game unfolds. We have one more game to go over, then that's Real Madrid v Granada. Mark Thomas, our brand new reporter, covering this one for us today, Mark. Real Madrid, they're back to the top of the La Liga after their win last season, and Girona, who did occupy first, their draw against Atletico Bilbao. So today presents a fantastic opportunity against a struggling Granada, who are in 19th in the table right now, to get a win for Real Madrid and continue their charge at the top. 10 minutes gone. Has that been the case?
Well, it's all looking good. Both teams have settled down very, very nicely, Josh. Real Madrid, of course, they're looking to get back on top of the table today. They've just been outed from that in the last hour or so because Girona beat Valencia 2-1 a little bit earlier on today. Of course, all eyes here, Josh, are on Jude Bellingham. The wonder boy, the 20-year-old wonder boy from England, of course, and Carlo Ancelotti, his coach, has described him almost Kaká-like in his appearances and the way he's been marshalling the team and his goal-scoring prowess as well. We've got a couple of changes in the Real Madrid side. Valverde and Brahim are in. Right now, though, it's Andre Lunin in goal. Still no Kepa or Courtois, still both out injured. Of course, Luka Modric out injured as well. The team is Carvajal, Rudiger, Alaba, Mendy, Toni Kroos, Valverde, as I mentioned, Jude Bellingham, Brahim, Joselu, and Rodrigo playing a very, very upfront role. As I said, it's 7 minutes gone here. It's pretty even. Granada themselves, they've been playing down the left-hand side. Uzini and Boy have been very busy early on, but no real problems for Real Madrid at this point. Beautiful evening for football here, Josh. It's about 50 degrees, 10 degrees, of course, in centigrade, and it should be a great game to watch. Right now, we've got a little bit of an injury. One of the goalkeepers is down, but nothing much to report at this moment in time.
Real Madrid, they really haven't, shall we say, been at their free-flowing best this season, but they've still got the most goals, 31 so far this campaign, and they've got the best defensive record as well, only conceding 9 times, and they find themselves in a direct shootout right now with Girona, which I don't think is something which many people, I think no one would have predicted coming in to this season. Is it a case for Real Madrid of it's only going to get stronger for them? That actually they're in a luxurious position where, yes, they might not have been their best, and yes, they probably have relied on a few goals from Bellingham, but I guess they can only grow, correct?
Yeah, Rodrigo has been a bit spotty in his goal scoring this season, and they want him to get a little bit more consistency. Lucky for them right now, he's come right into form the last few games, so he could help out with a goal scoring in addition to Bellingham, who's holding the fort, as everybody well knows, with those 15 goals, 16 games, 4 assists. But yes, a little bit more continuity up front, I think, would serve them well, and they're still finding their feet. In this game, they're going to be the heavy favourites, of course, Josh.
They are against a Granada team which is sitting 19th, one place off the bottom of the La Liga.
7 points all season.
Yeah, not great. Thank you very much, Mark. No. We will be back with you shortly. That's Real Madrid Granada 0-0. The only game that has a goal in our 5 o'clock games that we are covering is between Lazio and Cagliari. It is 1-0 to Lazio currently. Cagliari, who are down to 10 men. Earlier on today, as you would have known, Arsenal run-out winners against Wolverhampton Wanderers 2-1. Saka and Odegaard got on the score sheet within the first 15 minutes. The first time Arsenal have scored within the opening 15 minutes this season. And as for Wolves, well, they made a game of it eventually. They were pretty much second best throughout the whole game, but they worked their way into it. They got a late goal from Matheus Cunha, and they made life uncomfortable for Arsenal in their last 10 minutes and in stoppage time. This is Jack Hesson with the full-time report.
Full time at the Emirates Stadium, and there was a collective sigh of relief amongst the Arsenal faithful as their side managed to see out a late scare to secure a 2-1 victory over Wolves. It seems like it could have been a cricket score at the start of the game when on 6 minutes Tomiyasu's pass found Saka in the box, who finished from close range. This was then followed up 6 minutes later with a second when Zinchenko on the edge of the area played a quick 1-2 with Gabriel Jesus. He took the ball towards the byline, found Odegaard in the middle, who had a lovely first time finish. There were chances to seal the deal with both Martinelli and substitute Eddie Nketiah hitting the post late on, but things got nervy on 86 minutes when a mix-up at the back allowed Matheus Cunha to curl a shot in just inside the box and make it a nervy remaining few minutes. Arsenal, to their credit, defended well to end the game and helped secure a 2-1 victory to see them go 4 points clear of Manchester City, who of course yet to play. Full time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1.
We do have some updates to bring you, especially across the European games. We are going to be keeping an eye on that. Currently, between us, so Nottingham Forest Everton are currently 0-0. We have got reports that there. No real shocks in the Premier League as Sutton beat Horsham 3-0 in terms of Football League v non-league or professional v semi-professional in terms of Premier League. So apart from that, there was no real shocks across the FA Cup. Lens and Leon have played out a fantastic game, a 5-goal thriller with 5 minutes left there. We're currently on the 85th minute where Leon did take the lead, but Lens have turned it around and it is now Lens 3, Leon 2. Them bouncing back from their 5-0, 6-0 thrashing against Arsenal. In the Bundesliga, Bochum, they beat Wolfsburg 3-1. Borussia Mönchengladbach beat Hoffenheim 2-1. And then it was Leipzig who beat Heidenheim 2-1. Currently in the Bundesliga, there's a game between Stuttgart and Werder Bremen. Stuttgart, who are currently third in the table. It's goalless there. 0-0. Genoa and Empoli, they drew 1-0 in the early kickoff in the Serie A. And between that and Cagliari, it is 1-0 to the home team. And at 8:45, it comes up between AC Milan and Frosinone. In the Nigerian Premier League, or the NPFL, Doma United beat Niger 1-0. Aqua United drew 1-0 with Kawara in honours evens. Bendel and Lobby Stars, or Bendel beat Lobby Stars 1-0. And then Yimba beat Sunshine Stars 1-0. In the Saudi Pro League, Al Qadoud beat Al Tafiq 1-0. Al Fateh and Al Ta'i, well, they beat Al Ta'i, ended up beating Al Fateh 1-0. And coming up at 7 o'clock, it's Al Ain beat Al Waheda, is coming up at 7. And Al Shabab beat Al Tawan, that is at 7 o'clock as well. As Mark Thomas mentioned in his report, Girona did beat Valencia to go back top of the league, a 2-1 win at home. Atletico Bilbao thrashed Rayo Vallecano, winning 4-0, and Real Madrid and Granada are currently 0-0. Mark Thomas on us for that. And then coming up at 9 o'clock, it's Osasuna beat Real Madrid. Currently, we're going to quickly go to Tom right now. Let's talk about the Nottingham Forest Everton game. 16 minutes gone there. Tom, 0-0. As boring as the scoreline suggests.
I don't want to call a game boring. There's not much that's happened yet. I think both sides look quite tidy. So far, they've cancelled each other out. There's been a few chances from set pieces. Had a good run down the left-hand side from Anthony Elanga, taking on the full-back Ashley Young, who had a tough time against Manchester United last weekend. And Elanga gets in front of him and looks like he might beat him into the box and draws the foul. And it was Morgan Gibbs-White who flashed a free kick across the goal, and the keeper was able to parry away. 15 minutes gone. As I say, both teams looking tidy, but no chances really to talk of. It's nice play in the middle, but gets up to a point where so far no one's really been able to produce any magic in the final third. But I'm very hopeful that'll change as we move into the first half.
I mean, we are seeing both teams that probably don't like to score goals. Nottingham Forest scoring 16 this season, and Everton scoring 14. So probably that lack of attacking fluidity really isn't showing itself. We have a substitution between Real Madrid and Girona, Mark Thomas.
Yes, indeed. We've got Ferreira playing in goal now. Goalkeeper went off after an injury after about 11 minutes. So Ferreira has come on for Ruiz, and he's taken over. No goals yet. 14 minutes gone. They're still kind of even. Real Madrid slightly on top, as you'd expect. But, Granada, they're giving it a go. They're looking dangerous on the counter-attack. And, they've got two very good goal scorers up front. They're two leading goal scorers. They're both busy. So still, after 15 minutes here, it is still 0-0.
Undav has given Stuttgart the lead against Werder Bremen. So it's Stuttgart 0, Werder Bremen 1. Stuttgart 1, Werder Bremen 0. Apologies. That result currently moves Stuttgart up to 31 points as it would stand. Yeah, they move up to 31 points, and that'll be a point off Bayern Munich and 3 points off Bayer Leverkusen if, shall we say, Bayern don't get their win after their fixture was sword was called off against Union Berlin Snow. And it seems like the only way you're stopping Harry Kane right now is when you physically cannot play the game, because all transport links, there was no transport links operating. The flights outside and in and out of Munich were completely called off as well because it was thick white snow. And that is why it couldn't be played today. So for Stuttgart, presents a fantastic opportunity to close the gap to second place in the Bundesliga to just 1 point. We're going to go to no, let's not. Before we do, let's go to Lazio now, and to Luke Chance and get an update there. 2 minutes added on time for in the Stadio Olimpico right now. Luke and Cagliari have made 2 changes as well in response to them going down to 10 men.
Yes, Claudio Ranieri was very quick to shake up his side, and unfortunately a casualty of the red card was Lapadula, Gianluca Lapadula, who'd been recalled to the team and to captain the side today to start up front, but he was substituted in the 28th minute alongside Hatzidiakos, who was already on a yellow card as well, actually, and was at fault very much so for Lazio's opening goal. So those 2 substitutions were made, and Sulemana and Luvumbo were brought on respectively for both players to hopefully shore up Cagliari's defence and midfield, and they seem to have done so. Lazio have been very much the dominant side, but as we're entering here at the end of the first half, it does feel a lot more of a stable Cagliari side here that are trying to keep themselves in the game and keep the score low so they have a chance on the break. They've had some good quality possession at certain points throughout the match, but nothing that Lazio haven't been able to manage, and it still very much feels like a one-sided affair, but Cagliari have kept a good account of themselves even though they're down to 10 men. And as we're entering here now, the 47th minute, it still remains Lazio 1, Cagliari 0.
Now, let's go to John Kane after that Luke Charlton update. Talk about the Arsenal game earlier on, which Arsenal did run out winners 2-1. They continue to be top of the Premier League after that win. They now currently have a gap of 4 points at the top of the Premier League. John, what were your thoughts on that game today? They were very impressive for pretty much the whole of it, but maybe they didn't capitalise too much. We'll start within the opening 15 minutes. A fast, ferocious start. Something Arsenal have lacked all season, really, but they did that today.
No, they have, haven't they? They've been absolutely brilliant today, especially the way they started. I think sometimes Mikel Arteta unrightly get criticised for not having the flair or the firing start that the fans expect from him. But when he does it in style, doesn't he? And he like he said the other day, it depends who he's playing against to play that kind of firing, flaring football that the fans want to see. And today he probably thought it's one of the days that he can do it against Wolves at home anyway. And 2 early goals in the first 15 minutes settled the nerves. The Arsenal fans are very happy. We will put them 4 points for the time being, at least ahead of second place. But it was a bit of a scare. You have to admit, it was a bit of a scare when Wolves scored their only goal just towards the end of the game, and it sort of put the Arsenal fans a bit nervy, which is understandably so. But at the end of the day, they got the 3 points. They're top of the league, regardless of what happens tomorrow or today, and that's what it counts. They got the 3 points, and they've learned so much from last season. Last season, more or less, you think they were good, but the depth wasn't that great, which is something that probably Spurs can talk about this season in a very similar situation, although we're in a very similar situation when they were top of the league. But Arsenal, they sort of learned from having a bit more depth, and also they've learned how to sort of play the game depending on who they're playing against, which is something that last season probably he just stuck to the one system, to the one style of football, and that cost Arsenal dearly in the end.
I think that's very key learning, isn't it? I feel like they learned today. Last season, they conceded a lot of 2-goal advantages, didn't they, towards the end of it? The bottling, as some people might say. But today, they held out, didn't they? Today, even though, and we can talk about that later, should they have put the game away sooner, rather than later, and not put themselves in the position. But either way, they were in that position and they handled it.
No, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, they are playing Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Wolverhampton Wanderers are not an easy catch. They're a really, really good team, and they're improving so much under Gary O'Neill. We've seen how good Gary O'Neill is at Bournemouth, and he's moved that talent that he had as a manager to Wolverhampton Wanderers, and they are playing really good football. They've got really good talent. They're a very good team. They're in a stable position at the moment. They're not getting the best of results, and you have to admit probably they're the unluckiest team in the Premier League when it comes to penalties, because if you look about 3 or 4 incidents that probably wouldn't need to be a penalty. It's very literally, I think, about 3 incidents when a player pulled his feet away inside the penalty area, but he sort of tripped with just a touch of shin on an opponent player. So you can consider them a bit unlucky. But today, away to Arsenal, they scored that goal. They gave the threat to Arsenal. But at the end of the day, Arsenal probably more experienced than that. Atteta's been there, over 3 years? So he should be in a position when he should be able to kill the game. And even if there was a threat from Wolves, he should know how to deal with it. And they dealt with it very, very well.
Everton pushing at the City ground, haven't lost outside of Liverpool since the start of August. It seems like they're gonna try and not let that record slip up right now, because they're dominating early on in Nottingham.
They are. It's been all Everton since we last spoke. I was just going to give you an update to say they're pushing, but without making any real chances. But they've just had the first huge chance of the game. For all their nice play over the past few minutes, it was a long ball that's kind of fallen into that gap between the goalkeeper and the defender. Both of them came together, and the goalkeeper gets something of a glove on it, and it falls to the edge of the 6-yard box, where Beto is running onto it, and the keeper's out of the game. There's only one player back on the line, and he gets his shot all wrong. He side fronts it high over the bar. If he'd just taken a moment to get over the ball, it would have been 1-0 surely if that hit the target. A huge chance there wasted for Everton. With 24 minutes gone in this one, and it remains Nottingham Forest 0, Everton 0.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
If you're betting on sports this week, why not make your money go further? Sign up to NairaBet for 11 days of risk-free betting. If your bet loses, you will get your stake back as a free bet up to 2,000 Naira. All you need to do is register a new account with NairaBet today and qualify to get up to 22,000 Naira in free bets. Visit www.nairabet.com/bonus for more information. General and free bet terms apply. Must be over 18. Must be KYC approved. Must place a qualifying bet. Bets must include football, tennis or basketball markets. Please gamble responsibly.
You are listening.
You are listening.
You are listening
to Football Live.
To Football Live.
To Football Live.
On Brila FM.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Tomorrow afternoon on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM. Manchester City are at home to Tottenham Hotspur. Chelsea look to bounce back from defeat at Newcastle with a home match against Brighton and Hove Albion. Liverpool entertain Fulham at Anfield. There's a London derby as West Ham United take on Crystal Palace. And in Germany, the leaders and record breakers Bayer Leverkusen are up against Borussia Dortmund. Plenty of top football action to get stuck into tomorrow afternoon on Football Live. Be sure to join Dean Kilford from 3 o'clock West African time as we chase down those big goals in the big games exclusively on Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Go into the action then, and let's go to where shall we go? Let's go to Real Madrid, with Mark Thomas there to cover his yellow card for Rudiger. I mean, have any updates from you recently, Mark? Anything happening there?
Well, as you just mentioned, Rudiger just got the first yellow card of the game here after 25 minutes. Very promising play from Real Madrid down the right-hand side. Carvajal is having a good time getting to the byline and getting some crosses in. None of those crosses have really been effective, to be honest with you. Most of them really haven't reached out to any of the other Real Madrid players coming in. Bellingham's been very busy. Toni Kroos has put a couple of good balls into the box, but again, just ran a little bit too long and out for goal kicks at both times. But it is still a great game to watch. Real Madrid are very much on the front foot. But there are some nice breakaways coming from Granada, and they look as if they're dangerous when they're going forward there on the breakaways. So at this moment in time, 25 minutes gone, still 0-0, Josh.
0-0 there. Mark, just a quick question on this Real Madrid defence. It's absolutely encouraging. No, before we do that, before I go answer the question, we do have a goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
As we leave Mark Thomas, Real Madrid have taken the lead. It took them a while to get there. However, they should be very pleased, Mark Thomas, because they're 1-0 up.
Yes, they are. The place has gone nuts here. And it's Brahim that has scored the goal from the 6-yard box. Bit of a scrappy goal. Balls through from the right-hand side. He beat the defense. And he just lobbed it in past the goalkeeper, the gentle flick. So much relief to the Real Madrid fans. I think they're all getting a bit worried that they hadn't scored right now. But it was a nice move, beat the goalkeeper from 6 yards out. So after 26 minutes right now, thankfully for Real Madrid, they can all the fans can enjoy their halftime cervezas a little bit better. Look forward to a bit more now. It's 1-0 after 26 minutes, Josh.
Bernabeu probably is the place to be right now. Take them a little bit of time, but doesn't matter how you get in front as long as you do it. Let's go to Tom now. Is at the City Ground between Nottingham Forest and Everton. Still 0-0, Tom. The last time we spoke, Everton, they were very much dominating this game. Is it still the same? Or have Steve Cooper's men wormed their way back into this one?
Well, I think that chance for Everton has possibly woken the home side up a little. Since we last spoke, a few promising moves forward for Nottingham Forest didn't result in anything, but Anthony Elanga looks to be lively today. You sense that they're going to want to keep getting the ball to him. He's running at Ashley Young, and a couple of times he's managed to do that and isolate him. He has got him behind. The last one he got the cross all wrong and it went into Jordan Pickford's arms. But that's certainly an area that Nottingham Forest will be looking to exploit. In terms of actual play, though, so far, it's only Everton that really have anything to talk of in terms of shots or touches in the opposition's box. Nottingham Forest fans getting a little bit frustrated that with half an hour gone, their team yet to really test Jordan Pickford.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan Pickford is obviously an incredible goalkeeper. Just quickly talk about no Tyrone Aroni right now for them, and exactly the fact that Steve Cooper's side are winners in the past 9 top-flight matches that he has missed, drawing 4, losing 5. That's an incredible reliance on a one particular player, isn't it, Tom?
It certainly is, and he's had an incredible run, hasn't he, towards the back end of last season, and I think the start of this one, he scored in, do you know what, that'll test me now, a silly number of games, and they were reliant a little bit on him towards the back end and going into this year. He's obviously been injured for a while, and do you know what, as you mentioned that, I've just noticed that Chris Wood, who picked up a bit of an injury, which looked like he was struggling, he's just come off and he's been replaced by Divock Origi. So that's another headache for Steve Cooper in that area of the field, as Nottingham Forest need to go about trying to find some goals.
Well, they do. They're obviously narrowly losing against Brighton last weekend as the Seagulls won out 3-2 winners. 0-0 so far, not the same amount of goals right now, but let's see if that game bursts into life. Let's bring back John Kane now, as we were talking Arsenal, and we'll finish up our conversation with a few words on Saka, John, because today he joined Salah in the fact that he now becomes, him and Salah now the only 2 players to have scored or assisted in 10 Premier League games this season. He's an incredible player, isn't it, that just goes from strength to strength each year, and really I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for being one of the best players in the world. It seems like everyone's like, oh, Saka, he's brilliant, but outside the Premier League it just feels like he doesn't get credit for being the best players in the world, which he is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the thing with Saka, he's one of the quiet ones, isn't he? And he just does his job and gets on with it. Put your head down, go along, score the goals, have the assist, work out with the team, and that's what he does. You know, there's no fancy work or anything like that, or no, you know, I know he's trying to copy James Maddison's celebration, but I think that's one of the really odd ones that I can think of, Bukayo Saka. But apart of that, he's just a guy who's just happy to play football, and he's not really concerned about anything else outside it. And that's why sometimes we live in a world when you get noticed when you do the unusual things, and sometimes Salah does the same thing as well. You know, sometimes you notice Salah and the work that he does until you actually put the stats in front of him and say, oh, that is really good, you know. Whereas if someone else would have done it, you would have noticed it very, very quickly. And I think we still live in a world of Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi and things like that. And I think until that sort of world finishes, we're still going to have so many other players that we're going to have to wait them to be taking over from the likes of Ronaldo and Messi. It's a shame to see, because no without doubting the ability of Messi and Ronaldo, of course not. Even though my favourite is Maradona of all time, just for info. But it's just the world always seems to have a bit of obsession with that, and then they don't look at his stats. And Bukayo Saka, you look at his stats, it's amazing for club and country, absolutely amazing. And missing the penalty a couple of years ago, I believe, in the Euros, I'm sure he will make it up for England, because that England team looks so good when you look at it, on paper at least anyway. You're going to have Saka, Kane, Bellingham, you know, who's scoring goals for fun for Madrid. It's going to be phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Saka or Salah, John?
Oh, I'm going to have to go for Salah. The reason being is because the environment of both players, I mean, the stats are very, very similar. But when you think of Mo Salah, and he never started from a big club. He actually, even in Egypt, the two big clubs in Egypt are Az-Zamalek and Al-Ahli. Everyone knows where they are in Africa. But not a lot of people heard of Al-Muqawilun Al-Arab. And I will dare you to say that again, which are called Arabic contractors. And he started from that club, and he was caught the eye of, I believe it was Baal from Switzerland initially, if I remember right. And it's just went on from there. Whereas Bukayo Saka started his trade in England, and I think to start your trade in a sort of less developed countries is a massive achievement to become one of the best players of all time. And I think just for that, without discriminating against Saka, because they're both brilliant players, I think just for that, I'll probably go for Salah.
Well, there we go. Do you agree, Football Live listeners? What do you think?
Probably many don't, but here
you go. Maybe don't, but let us know when we come back to you for FJ the Team One's final time. Let us know if you agree. And FJ, do you agree as well? Thank you very much, John Kay. We're back with you shortly just to get some updates on the Saudi Pro League, because I know you're a man of many talents. Before that, we're just going to go to Tom now, because Nottingham Forest have had a big chance in a game which they've been on the receiving end, shall we say, of all those big chances, but they have one of their own, Tom.
Yes, Josh. Just after you left me, Forest had their first big chance of the game. It was Anthony Elanga who's been, as I mentioned, been their most lively player so far. It was a ball from the right-hand side that flashed across the box, and it came to Elanga on the bounce at the far post, and he tried to volley it into the ground, into that far post. Jordan Pickford and the player back on the line were both stranded, and they watched it go just the other side of the post, agonisingly for Nottingham Forest. So that's really woken the crowd up now, and you have to say that since that chance, it's been Forest that have been doing all the pushing. There has been a yellow card on the bench for the home side. I think it was Alan Tate, a member of the staff, was booked for coming out of his technical area, which you don't see often, do you? But yeah, he's in the book. At the moment, 35 minutes gone. It's 0-0, but it's Forest on top.
You mentioned Anthony Elanga there, Tom. Leaving Manchester United might have been a controversial decision, but he seems like he's slowly rebuilding outside of Manchester within Nottingham Forest. Got a couple of crucial goals, maybe not as much as he would like. What have you made since his move there to the City ground?
I think it was perfect for him. I think he needed to go. It's difficult at Manchester United under normal circumstances, but certainly in a club that's kind of struggling. I don't think Anthony Elanga, but for a few moments here and there, ever really cemented his place in that side. If you compare them to a player like Garnacho perhaps, and I think at this stage of his career he really needed to play. I don't know what the future holds for him. Obviously he's a full international with Sweden and a player that shows a lot of promise. So sometimes you need to move away to find your way back. But in any case, I think at this moment in his career he really needed to play. And as we mentioned, a couple of injuries that Nottingham Forest have had, he's found himself in that team, and he's playing games, and I think that can only be a benefit. And he's keeping other players out of the side at the moment. Obviously, Hudson-Odoi, who moved from Chelsea, started his career here well with a brilliant goal. I think it was on his debut, or certainly his home debut. And Anthony Langer's keeping him out of the side at the moment. He's a player that he's looking confident.
They might miss him with the troubles they've had with Anthony and Sancho. Do you think if they had Elanga in the team, maybe it would be a bit of a different story? I think Manchester United look back at this now and think, with hindsight, it was the wrong choice considering their troubles in the winger spot besides Garnacho.
I don't know, Josh. It's a difficult one. I think one thing Elanga does offer you is pace in a very direct sense. Man United have got some nice technical wingers, players that want to take the ball, feel the ball and feel the way into the game, whereas Anthony Elanga is someone who wants to get it and run, as we've seen so far in this game. That being said, I do think he's a player that struggled a little bit. Certainly as you get that opportunity where you come into the side, maybe you're a little bit of an unknown, you've got that kind of confidence coming from the youth setup. I think we saw a more confident Anthony Elanga when he broke into the side, but over his last 12 months, I personally felt that he was a player that looked like he was lacking a little bit of confidence. And I think for Manchester United, it's so many young players come through with promise, but it takes a lot to make the grade, doesn't it? And sometimes the players just need to go away, as I say, and find that confidence out of that pressure cooker, which is playing for Man United, certainly at present.
And what about Abdul Doucouré, Tom? Because Everton struggled for goals last season, didn't they? And it was really their big point, having their striker up front, especially now considering the same that Calvert-Lewin. In terms of, what was injured? In terms of him, he's playing at the centre-forward position right now. He scored 9 Premier League goals since Sean Dyche has taken charge. That's more than any other Evertonian, and while the midfielder's netted in 5 of the pots off his past 6 league games. He's a central defensive midfielder by change, but he's finding a new heart up front. He's finding his goal scoring boots, and it's a intriguing change, isn't it? Especially in his career.
It is. I mean, he's a player that I've always liked since I've seen him for the first time at Watford. He's, as you say, a kind of a deep line midfielder. I don't know whether to say by trade, but certainly he was when he came on the scene. But he's a player that's able to kind of do it all. Really, he's got a good touch. He can spin a man. He can drive with the ball, and he's got an eye for goal. It's something that they've needed. Obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's had so many injuries. He's out of the squad again today. Beto, the new signing, it's not really happened for him yet. So having a player like that that's been able to step out of midfield into a new role, it's been massive for Everton. Without his goals, they wouldn't have beaten the drop last year.
I've got a lot to own for Doucouré. Thank you very much, Tom. We're going to head over we've got a couple of places to go to. We've got to visit in the Serie A and in the La Liga. For now, we're going to go to the La Liga with the Serie A. We'll do Charlton because Lazio have 1 goal to their name and they're looking for a second, Luke.
Yes, we're back underway here for the second half in the Stadio Olimpico, and it is Lazio pushing for a second here, actually. A very, very close call, a marginal offside for Immobile if he'd have made contact with the ball, but it was excellent driving and a darting run from Isaacson on the wing here for Lazio. He cut him from about the halfway line and drove at Cagliari's defence, really pushing to get into the box, and he was tackled at the last moment, but the ball squirmed its way to Immobile in front of goal, but he wasn't just able to make contact with it. But if he had been onside and if he had made contact, I'm sure it would have been a second for Lazio and probably the game would have been over. But for Cagliari, they're happy at the moment to still kind of embed in and minimise Lazio's chances as best as possible. Both sides have made a substitution at half-time with Nicolas Viola coming off for Cagliari to be replaced by Gaetano Oristanio, with an aim, I'm sure, to really try and give some more attacking impetus from the midfield for Cagliari as they push to find an equaliser here. For the home side, it's a straight swap for Nicola Rovella for Danilo Cataldi, who comes into the midfield to potentially just to keep things ticking over for Lazio and to maybe try and find a little bit more of an attacking impetus on a consistent basis so they can really get that second goal and hammer home the advantage here they have here with playing as 11 men against 10. But as it stands now in the 50th minute, it's still fairly comfortable for Lazio and they are leading 1-0 over Cagliari.
Lazio searching for a second, and so are Los Blancos. 1-0 crying against Granada. Mark Thomas. They need that second. Will they get it before half time?
Well, they're pushing all the time, and you get the sense that the second goal is about to come any minute. Really pushing hard. Rodrigo's getting involved. Josselu's getting into the game a little bit more as well. It's kind of one-way traffic as far as the game goes for goal chances right now. We had a couple of incidents. We had a couple of hard tackles. No more yellow cards. Valverde got fouled, and Cruz took the free kick from about 10 yards outside the box, wafted it into the goal area, wafted it a little bit too far and too high, and it went out harmlessly for a goal kick. But yeah, Real Madrid very much on the front foot. They look very confident. They're knocking the ball around with ease. Not too much from Granada. They're kind of relying on those breakaway goals now. And, if it comes, you sense that that's the only way they are going to get a goal on the counter-attack. After 40 minutes, it's still 1-0 to Real Madrid.
Not really had much involvement so far, has the corner, but we spoke about in Tom, and it seems like we've summoned him into life in this game, and really should have done a lot better. Should have had an effort on goal.
Yeah, a couple of opportunities. Just as we spoke, Everton had a little flurry, and it was that man twice who gets the ball in the midfield and drives forward. And I think we talked about him coming into a new position, playing at the top end of the pitch. Maybe that was an example of how he's not quite a natural in that position, because I think at both occasions, Beto had made the run and the ball just needed to be better. It was kind of a 2-on-2. And if he gets that ball right, on both occasions that were strikingly similar, it would result in Beto having an effort on goal. And both of those chances were cut out. You have to say, even though it was it might not go down on the stats as being an effort on goal, there were two big opportunities late on in the half for Everton.
Two big chances for Everton. Here on Football Live, we like to keep an eye on all games and all leagues around the world. And one in particular is the Saudi Pro League. And John Kane, as we said, he's a man of many talents, but he also knows the Saudi Pro League very well. And here are his updates.
The Saudi Pro League on Football Live.
Yes, the latest updates on the Saudi Pro League. Josh did mention a few games that happened today, but the big game of the round, or probably the big game of the season in the Saudi Pro League, was between Al Hilal and Al Nassr. Mitrovic against Cristiano Ronaldo. That happened yesterday. It's always a big game in that league, and Al Hilal have beaten Al Nassr by 3-0. A couple of goals for Alexander Mitrovic. Remember him? I'm sure Fulham fans do. He scored twice, and a goal from Savic Milenkovic as well, who started scoring in 64th minute. It's a bad result for Cristiano Ronaldo, because that really pushed them way behind now for about 7 points behind Al Hilal, which is not the results they were looking for. Other notable games that happened as well is Abha, who lost at home 6-0 to Al Ahly, and Al Ahly, of course, who also have so many players in their squad. A couple of goals, in fact, a couple of goals from Brikan, a goal from Kasai, and of course Riyad Mahrez, of course, for Al Ahly. Al Ittihad, they've beaten Al Khalij by 4-2, and it was a goal also from Karim Benzema, who scored in the 29th minute from a penalty spot, but nevertheless it's a really good result for Al Ittihad. And of course they are still searching for their permanent manager after the sacking of Nuno Espirito Santo. And to be fair, Al Ittihad started playing much better and getting the right results since he was sacked, so that might tell you something. Other scores that happened in the last couple of days, on round 15 in fact, early on, Al Hudud beat Al Ittifaq, which was managed by Steven Gerrard, by 1-0. Al Fatah lost to Al Ta'i at home by 1-0. Also, Al Fayha lost at home to Damak at home by 4-2. Al Riyadh They drew with Al Hazm 0-0. The actual table, like we said, Al Hilal are dominating after 15 rounds with 41 points. Al Nasser, they are second with 34 points, and Al Ahli, they're on 30. Al Ittihad are on 28. So the all notable clubs are all in the top four. But I think, Josh, when it comes to who's going to win the league, I think it's going to be Al Hilal, and that is not even Neymar in the squad yet for his injury.
Shows a lot, doesn't it? Really does show a lot about the strength of the Saudi Pro League, and with all the some signings they made in their transfer window, it's made it for one incredible league, and Al Ittihad are running away with it, and that will really upset a lot of Al Nassr fans, especially with their win yesterday, and Mitrovic getting on the score sheet. And those questions: who's better, Mitrovic or Ronaldo? Looks as if it might be Alexander Mitrovic. Who do you think is better between the two right now, currently? Let us know when we come to FJ in a few short moments' time. And I want to say it's about 20 minutes' time. For now, though, let's go to the City Ground because Everton have hit the post. They're coming very, very close, aren't they, Tom? Surely it's a matter of time.
It was a huge chance, Josh, and it would have been a deserved opener for Everton. Abdoulaye Doucouré, I think he heard me criticising him because this time he gets it right. He gets the ball with his back to goal, spins his man, plays a nice weighted pass to Dwight McNeil on the left-hand side, who takes a touch and fires the ball past the keeper. It's heading in, and it's Murillo who gets back and is able to get enough on the ball to deflect it onto the post. So close for Everton to take in the lead. And a little correction as well. I thought that Chris Wood had come off injured, but it looks like Divock Origi has put his tracksuit back on, and Chris Wood is going to try and get through with what looked like a tweaked ankle when I first saw it.
Divock Origi, his most recent Premier League goal came in Liverpool's 2-0 win against Everton in April 2022. The Belgian has scored 6 times in 9 top-flight matches against the Merseysiders. So if you were to have a Divock Origi come on in placement of Chris Wood, it wouldn't be too bad of a change considering his history and considering his love of scoring against Everton. 5 minutes added on in Real Madrid, Mark Thomas, and we've just had one of the teams come really close.
Yeah, so we've had a couple of very, very close calls here. We had a great run in from the left, a very, very cute back heel by Brahim into Bellingham, into the 6-yard box, right into the corner of the edge of the 6-yard box, and everybody thought surely he's going to score. Unfortunately, he scooted just a couple of feet wide of Ferreira's left-hand post. But the balls are flying into the box from every angle right now. Real Madrid really pushing for that second goal. We had a close call for a penalty. Bellingham, again, the man of the moment, went down, but referee didn't give anything. And we're just seeing out the end of the first half now. We've got 5 minutes added of extra time, and we played just a couple of them. So right now, still 1-0 to Real Madrid. How it's still 1-0, nobody knows here in the stadium, Josh.
In Nottingham, the game between Forest and Everton is really coming to life, Tom, and it's the home team that have just come closest.
It is. I'm surprised we've not had a goal in this half with all the chances we've seen in the last 20 minutes. This time it's Morgan Gibbs-White. It's been quite quiet so far. Nottingham Forest get the ball on the left-hand side and they work it to the edge of the box and back out to the right. I think it was Sangare that lays off Morgan Gibbs-White, and he goes to take his shot first time down to Jordan Pickford's near post, and he just gets it the wrong side into the side netting. Jordan Pickford was at full stretch thinking that was going to nestle on the back of his net. We've got about a minute to go of the 5 minutes added on here at the City Ground, and it's still Nottingham Forest 0, Everton 0.
Bouncing between these two games, and I'm not going to complain though at all because it shows that it's been a really good game, and it is for Joselu who's just had a chance but offside.
Yes, Joselu just offside, and it would have been a great goal, but luckily for Granada, it was offside, but he didn't score anyway. So nothing changes here. Apparently, 5 minutes of overtime gone, and it's still 5.5 minutes of overtime gone. Still the same score, 1-0 to Real Madrid, and I think Granada will be very, very glad now to get into the halftime with that score. But they are still pushing forward on the odd counter-attack. Uzzini's been quite busy when he gets a chance. Boy has been causing a few troubles, but he's very much a lone centre forward. Most of the time he's up there fending for himself. Feels like he's on a different playing field to everybody else some of the time. But right, as I mentioned, 1-0 going into halftime right now.
bouncing between these two games. I feel sorry for Luke Charlton, who's watching a pretty procedural match between Lazio and Cagliari, because it is Lazio right now who are winning 1-0. The away team are down to 10 men as well, Luke, but they've just had an injury of them. They've had an injury of their own here, Lazio. Luis Alberto off. Will that change the game much, do you believe?
I don't think it may have a massive impact on this particular fixture, but I think it's going to be a sore one for Maurizio Sarri to take, really, having had Luis Alberto suspended in their last fixture in Serie A, where they lost 2-1 to Salernitana. He's always an influential midfielder for them. He's one of their most prolific players, who's a big presence in their midfield, having had some losses in the midfield there over the summer. With some transfers with Milinkovic-Savic notably going to the Saudi League. Luis Alberto's presence in that midfield is always greatly appreciated for Lazio, and I think this matter here, this injury that occurred, it looks quite serious, because it was off the ball and there was no focus at all on how any other play at all. But he made sure that he made sure that he was substituted, because he signalled to the bench, said that he couldn't carry on, and was taken off, and has been swapped directly for Daichi Kamada, who was a signing they made from Eintracht Frankfurt over the summer. So he's come in as a direct replacement. But as it stands in the actual game itself, not a lot has changed. But essentially for Luis Alberto, the match is over, and it may be a prolonged period in the season now that might be over for him. So that's something that he'll not be best pleased with, I can feel, from this match. But as it stands now, 61 minutes gone, it's still Lazio 1, Cagliari 0.
Cagliari really in a difficult spot right now. For Luis Alberto, when your team are cruising like that with half an hour to go, it's not a great form, is it? And really, you get frustrated with those injuries, those silly little injuries that could derail completely someone's season. We have got a couple, just under a minute then until we go to FJ and the team. So it's best that I just give you an update around the grounds then, and also from our Premier League games earlier on today. Arsenal beat Wolves 2-1. Brentford beat Luton 3-1, and Burnley thumped Sheffield United 5-0. It's currently half-time between Nottingham Forest 0-0. We'll get the half-time reports from all our games from around Europe and in the Premier League later on. Currently, it's Real Madrid 1, Granada 0. And then, as we just heard from Luke Charlton, it's Lazio 1, Cagliari 0 as well. Those are your scores so far. For now, though, we're going to go to FJ and the team in Nigeria.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Yes, we are back for the one final breath of Football Live. The show comes to an end at 8:20 today, which means we precisely have 40 minutes to get through all our games. Reminder, we are covering for you today Nottingham Forest v Everton, Real Madrid v Granada, and Lazio v Cagliari. Currently, right now, Lazio winning 1-0. A few short moments left in that game. But before we go to Luke Charlton, we're going to start with Tom, who watched over Nottingham Forest v Everton. We have actually started the second half here, Tom. But in terms of the game in the first half, how it went, what are your opinions on it?
Well, in terms of the first half, yeah, you're right. We've just kicked off here in the second. We're about 2 minutes into that. Everton, you'll have to say, will be disappointed to be level. And for Forest, I think they'll probably feel like they've got away with it in that first half. There were a few chances for both sides, but Everton definitely had the best of it, and they certainly had the most clear-cut chances. You know, to recap, we had the Beto chance, which really sparked the game into life, where there was a bit of a mix-up at the back from a long ball, and it fell to him about 6 yards out, and his side foot, he got it all wrong, got over it, and put it over the bar. And then just before half-time, Dwight McNeil was slipped in by Abdoulaye Doucouré, and his shot was, I've seen a replay, was rifled and was headed into the back of the net, and it was Murillo who gets back. It's actually a brilliant piece of defending, because he's in an awful position and just has to kind of flick a left foot out, and he could have so easily sent it into his own net, but he sent it onto the post. For Nottingham Forest, they'll be hoping for more this second half. They have made one change. I'm not sure if it's tactical or enforced. Willy Bolly's come off. He's been replaced by Felipe. And they've, of course, got some more options on the bench if they need to, the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi and Divock Origi. As for Everton, no change for them. They'll be hoping for more of the same. I think this is a real opportunity for them. There's no doubt in the first half. They won that battle in the midfield. They'll be wanting more of the same, but just hoping that when the chances do come, they really need to be clinical, because you would expect Nottingham Forest, as this game wears on with the home crowd, they will start to come into it a bit more than they did in that first half.
It's key, isn't it? The home crowd here for Nottingham Forest. Their defeat last week in Brighton was the first time they lost at home in April. It's probably one of the most tough grounds to come to in the Premier League. Have you been impressed by the way Everton have navigated it so far?
Yeah, I mean, since Forest have come back into the Premier League, it's something that I think a lot of people have picked up on how what an atmosphere the home fans create here, and it's a test for any side. As we've seen, with the likes of Arsenal struggling here last season. I think for Everton, they started the game really well. Without starting super fast or making any chances, they got on the ball and they passed it around nice and confidently. And I think for Nottingham Forest, it's a side that, as I mentioned, 1 win in 9. They're not in the best of form, so there is a bit of anxiety here in the stadium. And for Everton, they did very well to get on top of the game early, and they'll be disappointed that they're not ahead in it because they made the chances. They had the best of it.
In these games, Tom, if Everton hadn't have been deducted the points, you might have forgiven both sides to just, saying, we'll take a point from this game, especially for Everton, the fact that they're visiting this really tough ground, coming away from Nottingham Forest with a point is a good result. But do you think the fact they have had that points deduction and now they are in the position that they find themselves in, that view and that mentality changes?
Well, it's interesting you say that because I was thinking the same thing. I have been really impressed with Everton this year. I didn't expect them to kick on and all of a sudden start moving up the league with Sean Dyche. You expected that they'd be in the mix again, and survival is the main thing. Obviously, we've still got issues off the pitch, but this season they have been really competitive, and some of those games that they've where they haven't managed to get the result, they've been quite unlucky. A few decisions, balls not going the right way for them, but 5 points adrift in spite of everything else going on with other sides. I know they're playing well, but before you know it, it'll be after Christmas, and it comes around very quickly. For Everton, it's a balancing act, isn't it? Because you don't want to panic. The players are playing for Sean Dyche, the performances are there, and I don't think there's any need to start panicking. But when you're looking at that table after each week, and you've got Burnley picking up points today, Luton have shown that they can win games, and I think they will stick at it, no doubt, and probably pick up a few more points over Christmas. You don't want that gap to open up, because no matter how well you're playing, if it gets to after Christmas and you're 6 or 7 points from safety, it doesn't matter how well you're playing. It's going to get a bit nervy.
Yeah, the points deduction really does just change everything for them. Thank you very much, Tom. Let's go to the Liga now. Real Madrid beat Granada. Couple of minutes into this second half mark. Sorry, apologies. In terms of the first half, the half-time report, how do you think the first half went? Well, Real Madrid have clearly got with the happier side, but a 1-0 advantage against a team in Granada's position. You would have forgiven Real Madrid fans for wanting more.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. They've had 73% of the possession there in the first half. 2 shots on goal, 1 goal. You'd expect a little bit more from a team with the quality of players that Real Madrid have. But 1-0. Hopefully they'll bang a couple more in. They're constantly on attack. It's been all Real Madrid all of the time so far. Second half, we do have a substitution to tell you about. Carvajal went off at halftime. Don't know if that was an injury that he picked up. We'll keep you posted on that. Lucas is on instead of him. But yeah, a bit more of the same. Real Madrid well on top. And the second half has kicked off and continued much the way of the first. It's still 1-0 after 48 minutes.
And to the Serie A, where that game is gradually coming to a close. We're on the 83rd minute now. 7 minutes to go. Cagliari down to 10 men. Lazio very much in control. Do you see this game having any more twist to its tail within the next 7 minutes?
No, it's very much still Lazio in control of the game. They'll be slightly disappointed, though, that they haven't been able to extend their lead, because with going in here to the final 10 minutes of the match, Cagliari are still in this. They just need one opportunity, one chance to level the match up and to come away from this fixture with a point. And Lazio will really be kicking themselves if that is the eventuality. But they had a couple of chances earlier on in this second half. Tati Castellanos, he should have really scored. It was a huge opportunity. He was totally unmarked, and he fired a first-time shot just towards the left post from a few yards out. But Scoufet in goal for Cagliari, he was able to react superbly and keep the ball out of the net. Castellanos had been a substitute for Immobile, who'd had a bit of a hit and miss fixture, and you'd think if you're searching for a second goal, taking off Lazio's all-time top scorer would be maybe not the best decision, but that's what Sarri's done, and it actually has invigorated some life in the attack for Lazio here. Another substitution, Felipe Anderson's come on for the goal scorer Pedro. He's been very lively as well, linking up with Kamada, the substitute for Alberto, following that earlier injury, and they've been very lively on the left-hand side actually, and it does still look like Lazio are going to take all 3 points here, and they're pushing for a second, but it's not given. It's not given, as I say, because Cagliari is still in this. They've made some substitutions themselves. They brought on Natian Nandez, who was actually booked for dissent to the referee on the touchline while he was warming up. So he'll have to be careful coming on now with these final 10 minutes. But as it stands, it's still Lazio with the lead here. With 83 minutes gone, it's Lazio 1, Cagliari 0.
Everton hit the post in the first half, and Nottingham Forest have matched that feat in the second, striking the woodwork themselves, Tom.
Yeah, they're the first side to come close in this second half, and it's the substitute Felipe. The ball was swung in from the corner, and it goes to the far post. In amongst it all, there's a couple of players that went down. Having seen the replay, I think VAR has taken a quick look and decided that it was a bit soft. But Forest win the ball at the back post. It comes back across goal to the substitute Felipe, who's running onto it. He's not got much space to get a shot away because he's being closed down, and he just doesn't quite get hold of it, and he fizzes it into the near post, and it hits the post and goes out. Didn't quite get a good connection on it, but a really good start to the second half for Forest. But then Everton gets straight on the attack, and it's Felipe again involved in a more negative sense this time, because he gets turned by Dwight McNeil about 30 yards from goal, who's about to shoot, and he drags him down, takes the yellow card, and now Everton have a free kick in a dangerous position. Come back to me to see how that turns out.
Currently, right now, Nottingham Forest have had 6 shots, 0 on target. Everton have had 7 shots, 2 on target. That's the difference right now. Nottingham Forest have got to start getting their shots. Testing Jordan Pickford. While this show has been going on, the Euro 2024 groups have been drawn. So I feel like it's courtesy as the host of this show to let you know, if you are interested in Euro 2024, who will be facing who come the summer tournament next year. Well, in Group A, currently, it will be Germany, Scotland, Hungary and Switzerland. In Group B, it will be Spain, Croatia, Italy and Albania. Group C, it will be Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia and England. In Group D, it will be playoff winner A, because the playoffs for the Euros have not been played yet. So that will either be Poland, Wales, Finland or Estonia. And then the rest of it will be Netherlands, France and Austria. Belgium, Slovakia, Romania line up in Group E, and they will be joined either between Israel and Bosnia-Herzegovina, Ukraine or Iceland. And then Group F, Turkey, Portugal and Czech Republic, and they will be joined by either Georgia, Greece, Kazakhstan or Luxembourg. The free kick at Everton that Tom was talking about was blocked, so right now the scores remain 0-0. John, if you've got a good memory and you can tell me if you can remember what I've just said there, who do you think the group of death is in that? I mean, do you want me to remind you who it is? Or actually, no, we'll do it differently. Group A, Germany, Scotland, Hungary and Switzerland. Who do you think will go through?
It tells you Germany, isn't it? They're always going to be favourites. But with the performance they've been having lately, you just don't know what kind of Germany going to turn up. They're really going through a bit of turmoil themselves. So I need to put that thing. You took me by surprise. So I should have put that list of the teams in front of me. But I'm going to have to say Germany, probably for that group. Only for the base that is actually Germany.
Could get out. They obviously had a really promising Euros group. They're getting wins against Spain and Norway as well. They look good. Do you think they could get out?
They've got a chance. They've definitely got a chance. I mean, they are improving under Steve Clarke, haven't they? And you could never doubt the ability of Steve Clarke as an assistant manager before, and definitely as a manager now. And they've definitely got a chance. But I think in the day, when you look at Germany always been a team that everyone wants to beat, isn't it? It's it's like the Brazil, Germany, France. You know, it's like the big ones, aren't they? England, of course. But I think Germany with the new manager, they're really trying to do a turning point to the better, but still, even the recent performances hasn't been the best. But It's in the tournaments that count. We've seen so many times when national teams don't play well before tournaments, they come to the tournaments and win it. So Germany could be one of them teams.
In Group B, Spain, Croatia, Italy, and Albania. You have to say the favourites are Spain, Croatia, and Italy. Italy, who have been in a little bit of wretched form, shall we say, since their win lost in the Euros in 2021. It was Euro 2020. Do you think Spain will top that group? Croatia, they're still hanging around, don't they? They still seem to produce the results despite their squad's age, shall we say?
Yeah, I know. It's the aging problem, isn't it, for the Croatian team? It's a bit that they play beautiful football and they've always been a threat. And but I think I'm going to have to give it to Spain because Spain got a really good mix. And for me, they probably got the best midfielder in the world, and Rodri. The guy is absolute phenomenal. He can control the game inside out, and not. Of course, missing out on some of the other players available. The new kid from Barcelona who has actually moved in straight into the national team, which my memory doesn't serve me right at the moment, and I forgot his name. But they've got Javi, who'll probably be back from injury by then. Morata, who's on good scoring form for club and country. They've got players in every single department, and they are very strong, and they have showed it in that recent games. And but Croatia on a normal day, you would say Croatia will be there, but only, like I said, the only problem with Croatia is that they are aging a bit, and I think you've got a goal for us, Josh.
I do have a goal, and it comes at Real Madrid.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
As the clock ticks to the 56th minute, Real Madrid have grabbed their second, and it's now 2-0 to Real Madrid.
Yes, much relief here at the Bernabeu. Second goal for Real Madrid. It's been coming. Ancelotti was pacing up and down the sideline for the last 5 or 6 minutes, just wondering when that second goal would come from. And it has come from Rodrigo, a man very, very much in form right now over the last 5 or 6 games. He did the business here. It's a through ball from Cruz was involved. Came out to the left-hand side. Mendy played it back in, a little flick into the box, and it was danger all the way. And little deflection, came off the goalkeeper, but he was right there to put it into the back of the net. So after 57 minutes, it is now 2-0, Real Madrid.
I think Real Madrid, can that be that now, Mark, or could Granada find a way back into this game? It really seems like they've been very poor today.
They have been, in midfield, they've been chasing shadows, basically, especially the second half. Real Madrid had so much possession. In the midfield area, they're knocking the ball around confidently, playing keep ball almost like a schoolyard practice match at times. They've not been able to penetrate Toni Kroos, of course, as great as he is, controlling the game. Real Madrid well in command, and right now you get the feeling that it could be 3 or 4 the way this game is going. Not anything going right for Granada, and they're not getting the ball up front. The strikers are completely out of the game right now, and Real Madrid completely in control, and the fans are singing. They're a bit happier here now, Josh.
So the Bernabeu must be bouncing right now. Of course, they're going to be very, very pleased so far. Let's go back to the City Ground, from the Bernabeu to the City Ground, to the most famous ground in the world. 63 minutes gone here, Tom. Everton on top again.
Yeah, after that quick start to the second half from Nottingham Forest, you have to say the game has kind of resumed what we saw in the first half, with Everton turning the screw a little bit now and taking charge of the game again. They've had a couple of half chances that have come. That free kick, by the way, as you mentioned, it was quite poor in the end. It was into the wall, but from the resulting set piece, they had a half chance, and they've had another corner which fell in the box. They just couldn't quite get it to fall right to get that shot away. But they're on the front foot now. It's lacking in quality so far in the second half. You would expect that from both sides, really. The next few minutes, you'll probably see some changes, substitutes come on, because Everton, for all their play, still 0-0, and for Nottingham Forest, I'd have to say so far, they have been quite poor. The home fans will be expecting a lot more from them in this game. It's been disappointing so far. With 63 minutes gone, it's still 0-0 in this one.
What do you think both teams need to do here, Tom, to swing the game in their favour?
Well, it's tricky for Everton because we've mentioned it earlier. It's Dominic Calvert-Lewin not in the squad today. I look at their bench. There's not a huge amount of options to change it. They have Danjuma who they could possibly bring on, but he's not someone who's contributed too much in the way of goals in this game. It's a bit difficult for them, because at the moment you'll almost be tempted to stick with it and hope that being on top in the game it eventually pays. You feel for Sean Dyche in some ways with regards to what he's got available. As for Forest, they certainly need to make a change, because with the way the game's going at the moment, every time they get the ball, they can't string any, too many passes together, and it just keeps coming back at them. They've kept Everton out quite well. They've defended balls into the box, and they are competitive, getting close to Everton in the middle of the park. But going the other way, it has been really poor. And you've got some players on the bench there with pace and an eye for goal. You would expect to see them very soon.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Get involved in NairaBet's Super Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. Manchester City take on Tottenham Hotspur, and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to €1,000. Whether you back the Citizens or Spurs, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com, bet on Man City versus Tottenham, receive your free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match markets or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18, minimum odds of 1.5, must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
You are listening.
You are listening.
You are listening
to Football Live.
To Football Live.
To Football Live.
On Brila FM.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Tomorrow afternoon on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM. Manchester City are at home to Tottenham Hotspur. Chelsea look to bounce back from defeat at Newcastle with a home match against Brighton and Hove Albion. Liverpool entertain Fulham at Anfield. There's a London derby as West Ham United take on Crystal Palace. And in Germany, the leaders and record breakers Bayer Leverkusen are up against Borussia Dortmund. Plenty of top football action to get stuck into tomorrow afternoon on Football Live. Be sure to join Dean Kilford from 3 o'clock West African time as we chase down those big goals in the big games exclusively on Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
It's a goal for Everton.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
1-0 to the Toffees, Tom.
Yes, Josh, a brilliant finish from Dwight McNeil, and it's no more than Everton deserve. It's actually Nottingham Forest that have just made the first change of the game, bringing on Callum Hudson-Odoi, and rather than change the game for them, it's changed the game for Everton. It was a long free kick up the pitch that they didn't deal with. It comes out to the right-hand side. They work it nicely. I think it's Idrissa Gueye that plays a 1-2, and then it's clipped into the far post. It goes past everyone. I didn't see who played the assist, but it eventually comes to Dwight McNeil after a little touch off a Nottingham Forest head. He takes one touch, the ball's still bouncing, and he rifles it back across goal into the top left-hand corner. It's a fantastic finish. There's only one place he can put it, and there's players getting back on the line. And as I say, it's no more than Everton deserve. With 68 minutes gone in this game, and the Toffees have the lead by a goal to nil. Nottingham Forest 0, Everton 1.
Tom, what does that do for this game now? Nottingham Forest, which is weathering the storm, been in it at points, but predominantly Everton have dominated. Where do you think the game will go from now?
Well, it'll be interesting to see what Everton do now, because they have been on top. Obviously, Nottingham Forest now are going to have to come out. Everton, we know that they can be tough defensively. I'm not sure what we're going to see here, because right now they're confident, but are they going to go pushing for that second goal? Because we've talked about the players that Forest have on the pitch. You'd expect you're going to see a reaction from them. I think Everton, with the home crowd here behind Nottingham Forest, you probably see them over the next couple of minutes just try and sit in and navigate this, because you'd think some sort of an onslaught is going to come, and then just hope that they start to, maybe pick off a chance on the break, because the goal is absolutely what they deserve. Now they've got it. The reaction will be interesting.
It'll be very interesting indeed. 20 minutes to go in that fixture. We'll quickly go to Mark Thomas now to Real Madrid. We're in cruise control against Granada. A couple of substitutes there, though.
Yes, Uzini has just gone off and Wiseman on for Granada. Still much the same here. Real Madrid in full control, of course. We've had a couple of free kicks, no major attempts on goal since I spoke to you last. We just had a corner from Real Madrid that went completely out. And they continue to knock the ball around very confidently. They're in complete control. Whenever Granada do come forward, it's just a couple of lucrative balls into one of the centre forwards, Boy, and of course Gumbau. But, nothing really happening for them. You don't at this point see them challenging for a goal at this point. So it's still very much Real Madrid in the hot seat, driving the seat. Be very surprised if they let go of this game now. 65 minutes gone, still 2-0 to Real Madrid.
Lazio ended up running out 1-0 winners against Cagliari. And here is Luke Charlton with your full-time report.
Yes, full-time here at the Stadio Olimpico. It is Lazio 1, Cagliari 0. It was a goal by the Spaniard Pedro in the 8th minute, his first at home in the 2023 season, that gave Lazio all 3 points in this fixture and moves them further up the table. Going into the game, the head-to-head wasn't great for Cagliari, and they've actually now not come away with any points. They've not come away with a victory since May 2013, and that period of time has been extended with the loss today. It wasn't all smooth sailing for Lazio. They controlled a lot of the game, and they were definitely helped by the fact that Cagliari reduced to 10 men early in the first half. It was a yellow card given out very early on that was upgraded by VAR to a straight red card on Antoine Makumbu in the 27th minute. And at that point, Lazio were cruising, but they couldn't find a second goal. And as we entered into the latter stages of the second half, Cagliari was still within with a chance, and they had a brilliant opportunity in the 91st minute with Leandro Pavoletti rising above the defenders and placing a towering header towards the left post. But Provedel, who'd had very little to do in the game, was able to put his hand out and thwart the equaliser from Cagliari. But they would have been deserving of it. They played very, very well. But Lazio were able to hold on and made the difference here and take all 3 points. And the full time here in the Stadio Olimpico in Rome is Lazio 1, Cagliari 0.
They're still way off the top 4, though, aren't they, Lazio? Where do you think their aspiration should be this season, putting Champions League aside? Sorry.
I think they can be aspirational to keep moving forward. They have a very solid squad here. I think the injury to Luis Alberto, we'll have to see how that progresses actually as well, because if that's long term, that does change the shape of their midfield and just potentially have a dent in their aspirations of moving up the league. But with some consistent results here, if they can keep up an energetic performance as they did, particularly in the first half today here for their upcoming fixtures, I think they can be hopeful of really pushing on to get into the European places, and particularly with the fact that they've confirmed their passage in the Champions League at the moment into the last 16. They don't have that final fixture to worry about as much. They can maybe rest some key players and keep them fit and hopefully get everyone ready for all the Serie A matches that are coming up thick and fast as we head into the winter period.
There's a long way to go. You're very correct. Thank you very much, Luke Charlton. A pleasure, as always. A fantastic reporting. Stuttgart have just made it 2-0 in the Bundesliga at Stuttgart 2. Werder Bremen 0, converting from the penalty spots. And that is a fantastic time to score for them with about 20 minutes remaining. Stuttgart very much in control against Werder Bremen. And for them, they will be going within 1 point of Bayern Munich. Coming up at 8 o'clock, it is Newcastle v Manchester United. Man United, who have somehow they're near the top 4. Somehow, I don't really understand why. All the negativity around this team, but they are 6th in the table. Only 4 points off Aston Villa in 4th place. It's more the Champions League where they have been struggling. Drew to Galatasaray, lost to Copenhagen in the last 2 games, which has made their Champions League position right now very perilous. And whether they progress or not is a different story. But coming up at 5:30 is Newcastle v Manchester United. But we'll not be covering this one for you, unfortunately. Football Live, as the show, will be over by the time it does start. However, I'm sure FJ and the team back in Nigeria, whoever is on the radio when we finish, will keep you up to date. So no need to worry. But this is the starting lineup for these two teams. And it's Pope in goal. It's then Trippier, Lascelles, Shaw and Livramento starting up that back four. It's then Bruno Guimaraes, Miley and Joelinton, who are then Miley and Joelinton in the midfield three. And lining up for the front three for Newcastle is Amron, Gordon and Isaac. Then for Manchester United, Onana starts in net. Despite the controversy and despite the critics around him, Erik ten Hag has continued to remain faithful for his goalkeeper that he brought in the summer. It's then Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, Martial, Rashford, Garnacho, Dalot, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Manu and McTominay. Those are the starting lineups right then for those two teams, and that game is coming up in about 50 minutes. We're going to go to the City Ground now. Nottingham Forest 0, Everton 1, but Forest are looking to change those scorelines, Tom.
Yeah, Josh, there has been a bit of a reaction. Couple of chances to speak of for Nottingham Forest. Well, I say chances. One was a penalty shout. I'll get to that in a minute. The first one is a free kick. It's one of those where everyone's expecting it. It's from deep near the halfway line. They're expecting it to be whipped in. And they play a ball along the floor, slipping it in the near post. And it's Anthony Elanga that's looking to get in behind. It looks like he is, and he's going to round the keeper. But it's Mikalenko with an outstretched foot that just gets enough on it. It doesn't take the ball out of play. It actually puts Anthony Elanga into a position where he could score from a very tight angle. He gets to it before the ball crosses the line, but he can only find the side netting. And then just a couple of minutes later, the ball came over again, this to the other side of the box. This time it was Morgan Gibbs-White who has a shot on goal. It hits Doucouré plumb in the middle of the arm, but it was so close. I would have been stunned to see a penalty given, but you never know with the way handball is at the moment. But no penalty for me. It was the correct decision. But Forest are pushing now for that equaliser. We are 75 minutes gone. It's still Forest 0, Everton 1.
They need to do something desperately, don't they? Steve Cooper needs to do something, because you feel like a defeat at Everton, that will increase the pressure on Cooper, won't it, Tom?
Well, you'd think so. You're never more than a few games away from being in trouble in the Premier League, are you? I do think that Steve Cooper has a lot of credit in the bank, but you know, what are the owners going to see if Nottingham Forest start to struggle? Because we know that when you do make a change and you make it at the right time, it can give you that shot in the arm that you need to change your fortunes. And for Nottingham Forest, if this run of form continues, you would think there would be a decision to make. I'm never a fan of changing the manager too late. I think we've seen it in the past where managerial decisions have been taken late in the season and it doesn't quite work out. So for Steve Cooper, you'd think that it's around this time now that you are considering these things. Nottingham Forest need to turn it around, no doubt about it, but I do think he's got a bit of credit in the bank that would give him an opportunity to try and turn this around and maybe even assess his shortcomings in January.
Carlo Ancelotti making a few changes in the Real Madrid game. Mark.
Yes, we've just had a change here. Ceballos has come on for Joselu. And just as that happened, a couple of seconds later, we had a great shot across the goal from Jude Bellingham from the right-hand side of outside the box. It went a couple of yards wide, but good goals, a good chance. Still Real Madrid on top. They're penetrating the defense, the back line on a regular basis now, slipping little balls through into the box. And it looks as if they're well on their way to a victory, obviously, but they're looking dangerous, and another goal is imminent, I think. It's still 2-0, by the way, to Real Madrid.
Thank you very much, Mark Thomas. 2-0 there. Right, for now then, we are going to head over to John Kane, because as we said, he does a variety of things. But one thing he does do very well, he's giving us the latest odds, and that is exactly what he's going to do now.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, so all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. As you know, it's 78 minutes, nearly 79 minutes gone at the Premier League game between Forest and Everton. Forest are losing at home by 1-0. They are 29.0 for the win. So if you think they can come back and beat Everton at home, they are 29.0. The draw is 5.50. There's only one goal in it. And Everton has just gone down again, as expected, to 1.2. 2-2. In fact, betting is suspended straight away, just to let you know. We'll go back to Josh if there is any news of a goal. In fact, no, there isn't, but the betting is still suspended. The only thing that is on in that game, if you think it's going to be over 2.5 goals, it's 5.0, and if you think it's over 3.5 goals, it's 15.0. So there's some other games happening as well at the moment. Real Madrid, Granada, bunch of the pick. If you think it's going to be over 2.5 goals, so one more goal in the last 15 minutes, it's 1.70. And if you think it's over 3.5 goals in that game, it's 4.33. Some of the other games as well that are happening at the moment is Fortuna Sittard against Vitesse in the Dutch Eredivisie. Fortuna are leading Vitesse by a goal to nil. They are 1.40 for the home win, 5.0 for the draw, and Vitesse are 7.0. That's 10 minutes gone. 10 minutes gone as well in Valvik against Excelsior. Valvik still 0-0, I beg your pardon. Valvik at 2.0 for the home win, 3.50 for the draw, and 3.60 for Excelsior away win. Stuttgart Bremen is more or less suspended for Stuttgart. If you think Stuttgart it'd be a draw in that game, it's only about 9 minutes left to be fair. It's 26.0 and it's 101.0 for Werder Bremen away win. To be fair to Werder Bremen, they're not they're not good in the best of times, let alone losing 2-0 away, with no offence to the Werder Bremen fans. Saudi Pro League, a ride against Al Wahda. A ride are leading Al Wahda by a goal to nil. They are 1.22 for the home win, 4.50 for the draw, and Al Wahda for away win is 13.0. Shabab just scored as well at home to Al Ta'awan in the 47th minute, in the second half in fact. Shabab are 1.36 for the win, 3.75 for the draw, and 9.0 for an away win. Of course, all these prices are from Narabet and they're all subject to change.
John Kane mentioned there was a suspension in betting in the game between Nottingham Forest and Everton. I can tell you that's because there was a chance in the game, but for who, Tom?
We had a chance for Nottingham Forest. It was Morgan Gibbs-White who's woken up a little bit as his team need him, and he gets the ball again from the left-hand side, beats his man on the outside, and a nice pullback. Do you know what? I think it was Yates who gets on the end of it, because this game's moving so fast. I think it was Yates who had the shot. James Garner it was that would put his body on the line with a brilliant block. Garner obviously spent a lot of time at Nottingham Forest and was a big part of them getting promoted to the Premier League. He's back on a ground very familiar for him. And then just before you came to me, I think Nottingham Forest have got away with a huge decision here in this game, because it's Felipe. I mentioned earlier that he was booked for a cynical foul on the edge of the box. It's another foul, and it doesn't matter how many you've done, but this one to me was just as cynical. Everton worked the ball well on the left-hand side. I think Dwight McNeil knocks the ball inside to Ashley Young, who's got Felipe touch tight. He turns in, he's away, and Felipe grabs him round the waist and pulls him down. You would have expected to see a yellow card, and you can see that the Everton players and the Everton bench think exactly the same. I think Nottingham Forest have got away with one there.
I mean, obviously VAR cannot review a second yellow. Let's make that clear. Any fans that are saying VAR, they cannot review a second yellow card. So that is probably why Felipe was on the pitch. With the way Tom describes that, it feels as if VAR could review those, he wouldn't be on the pitch any much longer. 7 minutes to go there, Tom. Forest, do you think they're going to get this equaliser, or Everton very much? I mean, we know Sean Dyche is known for his defensive abilities and being able to be very, very disciplined in the way his team defends. Game probably plays perfectly into what he wants.
Yeah, you have to say the reaction's been it's been there for Forest, but it's been a little bit muted. They've just made a change. They have brought on Divock Origi, so he's on the pitch now, and we know how much he likes a goal against Everton. But since Everton got that goal, it's actually gone a little bit end to end. There's been chances at both ends. I think Everton will ideally like to shut this up a little bit more, because there are chances on the break. Everton, I said I wondered how they go about it. They do seem to be pushing for that second goal. The quality's not been great in this game, but it does have that feel as though there's going to be another big chance for one of these sides.
Shots of Valverde in the Real Madrid game.
Yes, we've had a couple of chances. Valverde and Ceballos, they've been put through the box. They've gone close. didn't manage to score. They did get some good shots off. We just had a yellow card for Gumba, so he's in the book. And Real Madrid are still looking for that third goal, and they're just pushing the ball around the box now, and they've completely pushed Granada back. Granada are getting deeper and deeper as the game goes on. 78 minutes gone here. It's still 2-0 to Real Madrid.
Bring in John Kane now, briefly just discuss the game later on, which is Newcastle v Manchester United. John, how do you see that one going? Newcastle, both teams in perilous positions in the Champions League, and really in similar positions in the Premier League as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good game, isn't it? It's absolutely probably a game that I was going to say it could go either way, and it can go either way, but it just depends, I think, which Manchester United team that turn up. I mean, for a minute they were leading Galatasaray by 2-0, weren't they? And then all of a sudden it becomes a 3-3 in the end, and it's not really acceptable. It doesn't matter who you're playing to be leading and losing using an incredible lead against a away team as good as Galatasaray. But Newcastle, they've done very well themselves, hasn't they, against Paris Saint-Germain midweek in the Champions League. They've got a point to prove as well. They're playing at home, and we all know how passionate their fans are, and I think the fans can be a big difference in today's game, regardless of which Man United team will turn up. I mean, I always remember the time when Newcastle were under Kevin Keegan, and they were literally going for it one day. They finished second in the end of the table behind Manchester United, and it was a game where Newcastle at home were literally hammering the Manchester United goal, and it just could not get through. And then just one shot from Eric Cantona. I think it was 1 out of 2 shots from Manchester United that day, and they just won the game. And you just wonder, is it going to be something like that? Or is it going to be something like the 5-0 that we've seen years ago? Kevin Keegan, when Philip Albert just chips it over Peter Schmeichel, and they won 5-0 at home. Whatever it is, it's going to be a brilliant game. But if you ask me to predict that who's going to win, I'll probably say more chance of Newcastle winning it than Manchester United. But they're both in very sort of on par on things at the moment.
I mean, yeah, for Manchester United, throughout all their kind of trials and tribulations and their criticisms, they're 6th in the Premier League. They're above Newcastle in the Premier League. And by the way the media paint this narrative, you wouldn't assume that. You'd assume that they'd be way further down, and maybe it's the high standards that Man United are held to, but it feels as if with Manchester United, maybe things aren't being blown out of proportion, but he's getting results. It's a very hard one to make of it, really.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I do feel sorry for Ten Hag sometimes. I think his goalkeeper let him down big time this season. He came out under high hopes. He had a brilliant season in Italy last season, of course, with Inter Milan, and it's not working out at the moment. It's a matter of confidence, it's a matter of change of culture. You know, anything is all possibility on why his performance hasn't been the best that everyone's expecting. But the reason why United get that so much criticism, because they are big. You know, they were the biggest clubs in the world. Even if they were finished, even if they were 18th, even if they got relegated to the Championship, there will be one of the top 5 clubs in the world. And I think people still living in the era that, well, Eric Ferguson or Sir Alex Ferguson done it for 20 odd years. Anyone should come in and do a very similar job. The expectations are very, very high. Now, is the owner's party to blame? I don't know. I'm not really into the politics of what's happening in Manchester United, but I think with the talk of any takeover in the club, which we've heard recently, it does go down and affect everything in the club. And I think that even affects the players themselves. People also wondering, is Harry Maguire still the right person to play in that defence? Well, who's the replacement? You know, if he needs a replacement, why didn't Ten Hag get one? But let's not forget, I think it's this Ten Hag's first full season in charge. I think he's doing very well, personally. You need time to build a team. You know, it doesn't matter if it was a Pep Guardiola team which full of 100 million plus players or 1 million players. You still need them players to sort of get along and get the best out of them by being together. And at the moment, I don't think Man United are just there yet, but I don't think they're doing that bad, to be honest.
40 minutes until we find out, until that game starts, until we find out if John Kane's predictions are right. The game we're focusing on right now, though, is between Nottingham Forest and Everton. Forest need to chase this game. They've got very short time to do it in, Tom. Are they trying to get into it? Are they close to getting this equaliser?
They're giving it their best shot, but Everton hanging on at the moment, and it's been Jordan Pickford over the last couple of minutes that's proved his worth to his side, as he's done so many times in the past. The first bit was a great piece of goalkeeping. The ball was played long into the box onto the left-hand side. I think it was Morgan Gibbs White that had an opportunity. Jordan Pickford comes racing out of his goal and quite unconventionally dives at the ball, and he ends up kind of sitting on it and saving it with his bum and sending it about 15 yards out of the area. So unconventional, but it worked. And then just a couple of moments ago, it was Murillo who had that great block in the first half. This time he steps forward into the opposition half. He keeps going from about 25 yards, rifles one with his left foot, heading for the bottom corner, and Jordan Pickford gets down low and saves well. 89 minutes gone. I don't know how, I'm not interested to see how many are added on. Everton hanging on for now. Nottingham Forest 0, Everton 1.
It is 4 minutes added on in injury time then. So that's 4 minutes for Nottingham Forest to do something here. But the way Everton are trying to control this game and the way their defence is really rock solid, you doubt whether Forest can do anything about that. More changes in the game between Real Madrid and Granada, Mark Thomas.
Yes, with about 5 minutes to go, we've got a couple of changes for Granada. Brian Zaragoza pulled up with an injury change. Carreras is now on for him. And then they made another tactical change. Boy, the centre forward, coming out, and Puertas coming in to see if he can penetrate and do something to get around this very, very stern Real Madrid defence today. And then Real Madrid themselves, Brahim got taken off, and Gonzalo is now on in his... Gonzalo is on for Rodrigo, the second goal scorer for Real Madrid. So that's Gonzalo on, and Rodrigo, he's done his work for the day. He scored a goal, so he'll be a happy man this evening. About 4 minutes left to go here. It's Real Madrid 2, Granada 0.
4 minutes added on, Tom, as that spurred the City crowd into life.
Well, it's more of the same. You know, we talked about how good this crowd are. They've been backing their team really well for the past 20 minutes, but Everton have been, they've been so strong in this game, and it's quite difficult to turn the momentum of a game when you've not been playing well. We have had that reaction from Nottingham Forest, but there's only been a couple of half chances to speak of. Everton holding on really well. The crowd are behind them, and Everton have now, we've seen this so many times, don't we, with the side hanging on for a win. They're all playing very deep now. It's just the one player that they've got chasing the ball. They're sat in now to defend, and Nottingham Forest are pumping the ball long. They've got a couple of minutes to go here, trying to find something, anything, to get a chance and get that equaliser.
In terms of the Premier League table, it means that Everton sit 18th. They go in front of Burnley, who did occupy that position after their win against Sheffield United earlier in the day. And with this win, it would mean after Luton failing to beat Brentford also earlier in the day at 3 o'clock, it would close the gap to just 2 points outside the relegation zone. It would be their 5th win of the season for the Merseysiders. It would move Everton to 18th with 7 points, and Luton above them would be 17th with 9 points. They've got a couple of minutes to hang on and secure some crucial 3 points. And for them, every point does matter in the position that they had themselves in. But as we do say, they have lodged an appeal process against their points deduction. So maybe if they were to pick up some wins at this point of the season, we could see them higher up, maybe into the top 10, top 9, depending on the way they go this season. But right now, they're beating Nottingham Forest, and they've got to hold on. Any more chances there, Tom?
Sorry, Josh, apologies there. It's more of the same. We've got, I think, about a minute to go now, and it's as we were, Nottingham Forest moving the ball, rotating from left to right to try and create those angles. But Everton are so good at this, defending balls into the box, getting their body in the way. And for Forest, they're trying to do something that they've struggled to do all game and put together a moment of quality. It looks like with just, as I say, a minute to go here, and possibly a little bit more because we've had a bit of a stoppage, that Everton looks set to get an all-important win and climb closer to safety in the Premier League.
Got about, let me say, a minute to do that. It's clocking. The clock is ticking so close to full time. We will do our full time roundups right now because obviously this game has overrun. So we know we're in a little bit of a hurry to get this show wrapped up once the game at the City Grounds ended. For today's results then, well, in the Premier League, Arsenal beat Wolves 2-1. Brentford beat Luton 3-1. Burnley beat Sheffield United 5-0. And the full time whistle has just rung at the City Grounds. So it's Nottingham Forest 0. Everton 1, that is full-time. Currently in the Liga, Real Madrid are still beating Granada 2-0 there as well. And also in the Bundesliga, we had RB Leipzig beat Heidenheim 2-1, and Lazio beat Cagliari 1-0. That is it for us here on Football Live on our Saturday show. We will be back tomorrow with Dean Kilford as headlining Sunday's billing of football action. Thank you very much to my team of reporters. Thank you very much to my producer. I'm John Kane, and we will see you here again tomorrow.
You have been listening to Football Live, sponsored by NairaBet and exclusive to Brila FM. A big thank you to today's presenter Josh Bailey and the producer John Kane, and of course to our reporters Jack Hesson, Molly Sumter, Patrick Norrett, Tom Cooney, Kane Wears, Luke Charlton and Mark Thomas. Football Live will be back again tomorrow afternoon with Dean Kilford from 3 o'clock in the afternoon, exclusive to Brila FM.